Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho. Tonight's live stream is taking place at 8 p.m. Sunday, March 29th. And we're going to hop into at least one little board first. And then we'll put up a poll if y'all would like a little board for the second one. Or a big board. But without further ado, let us begin. All right, so I still have two little boards left. Most of y'all are maxed out, so I'm going to hop in now. These take a while to fill. Hopefully, the location is good. We are all set. 5 more spots in this little board. If you would like it, come and get it. But ideally, we're going to be in with some people that are not usually drafting alongside. We're going to get a little bit different tonight, hopefully, and get some good values. I would assume so, but this might take a minute to fill. This is probably going to not happen pretty instantly. So still waiting on 5. We'll see how long we're waiting. But in the meantime, let's turn the music on. Let's enjoy our live stream. We do have Fantasy Dog in here. Welcome, my friend. Number 1 like, number 1 chat. And we do have the chat up on the screen today. It is working. Love to see that. But Pepper Tony in here. Fimpst. Once again, thank you for joining. And oh yeah, you know we will. You know we will. But 4 spots left. We will start a poll. Next draft. A little board or a big board. And then maybe, not going to guarantee it, I think so. At some point later this week, my next solo live might be a bigger board. It might be. If we can get it to fill, that'd be fun. But, all right, the poll is dropping. What do y'all want for our next draft? We will do 2 tonight. Not going to set a like goal or anything. Just going to let it happen. It would be nice if y'all can drop a like. Looks like we're already at 5 likes, so appreciate y'all. We are full. This lobby is maxed out. This little board will commence. Which pick do we get? We get pick 10. All right. I can live with pick 10. I'm fairly familiar with the backside of the board. I'm not going to complain. Would have loved a top 4 pick. Looks like Pepper Tony's in here with the top 4 pick. Good for him. Pepper Tony in here at the 104. And otherwise, not sure I recognize anybody else. We got FF Lovers. Don't think I've ever drafted with FF Lovers. They're at the 103. But I would say Matt Davidson sounds a little familiar. Matt Davidson 24 at the bookend pick 12. But who knows? If you're in here, let me know. Looks like Pepper Tony did make it in. He's got a G tattoo on his avatar. He has taken down a battle royale. He has finished first in a battle royale. Pepper Tony knows his shit. Thankfully, we're not lockstep right next to Pepper Tony, but should be interesting. Should be an interesting draft. You know what's interesting about this comment, Jamie? It looks like I'm getting both the translation and the English version. It's weird. I think you wrote it in French, but then it's translated into English. That's interesting. I've never seen that happen before. Normally, your French comments just come in legit French. Yeah, interesting. But what's up, Jamie? Hope you're doing well this Sunday evening. Had a good weekend. Indeed, the chat does not. But evening to I Am the Cobra as well. We'll say good evening to Leia for you. Wow, JSN over Jamar Chase. That is unique. That's interesting. Haven't quite seen that. So yeah, Puka falls to 5 in this one. I'm not sure if it's egregious. Honestly, with some weird vibes there, maybe it could work out. Or he's actually not the correct pick. I have less Puka than Jamar, I'll tell you that, but I am still drafting Puka over JSN typically. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I think would have had some respect for it if you did, but to still have Jamar and Puka there at pick 4, I don't blame you for leaving that alone. Honestly, there's a world where you still get Achane on the way back. I've seen Achane fall at times. Not saying it's going to happen. Probably not going to let it happen myself, but we'll see. But other than the JSN at 3, everything is very normal through the first 8 picks. And Jefferson does go. So, given how the receiver position looked coming back around, I will just take my preference at receiver. Always going to feel safe with an Amon-Ra team. Give me a Lion. Nothing to see here. Just moving on. Thank you for the Amon-Ra at pick 10. But James Cook, Ashton Genty go off the board. Hampton gets taken. Would have been happy with Hampton. And then Saquon goes. I could see it not work out, but let's do it. In terms of talent, he's got what it takes. Does he have the offensive line, the play caller, just the right situation to get it done? Maybe not. There's a world where it doesn't work out. But in terms of spike week best ball capabilities, Achane can actually drop like 45 points. Like Achane can actually have multiple house calls in the same game. That's how you break fantasy football. That's how you win not just a lot of money, but like literally the top prize by having a game that just is broken open from the get-go. And Achane's one of those players. Could this be a mistake, though? Investing in the Dolphins offense this high? Possibly. There is some risk there with Achane, but at least we make Pepper Tony happy. At least we let his guy not fall back to him. We let the disrespect stop at pick 15. But I am a little bit worried, not going to lie. But Jeremiah Love, there are some landing spots that would scare me. Like, I am not that convinced that going to Tennessee is really, really ideal for him. I'm not convinced that that's a landing spot that's just automatically going to pay off. Their offensive line is pretty bad in Tennessee. Their offense was bad last year. We assume it takes a big step up. Getting a running back like that would help them. But last year, touchdowns were just so few and far between in Tennessee. And we are assuming a lot of things happen to just proclaim that would be a very proficient, high-scoring offense. I like Brian Daboll, but there are some limitations in Tennessee. So that would be weird. The Washington Commanders, probably a better situation. Don't think they have like anyone that can really compete with him, and taking him that high would definitely work out. The Giants, that'd be annoying as fuck for Scatterboo and Tracy. That'd be a bummer there. But I could see it. I could still see them take him. And then there's not that many like perfect landing spots in the top 10 in the first place. So really the best case scenario was for him to go to the Chiefs or the Saints. Both of those teams added the top 2 free agents. Walker to the Chiefs and Etienne to the Saints. So Jeremiah Love might not actually return this draft price when it's all said and done. Like, that's the reason why Genty didn't pay off. We went to the wrong landing spot. The Raiders were just the worst possible scenario for fantasy football. But only thing notable that I've seen so far in this lobby happen is Garrett Wilson to go pick 27. The team at 3 is the only one getting a little bit odd, a little bit strange, a little bit unique here. But in general, everything is fairly common. Allen goes at pick 31. Etienne does go pick 32. I would have liked Etienne at 34. I was a little hopeful. Didn't expect it to happen, but there was part of me that was just hoping and praying that's what I would get. But nope, I do not. Honestly, there's a bit of a lack of tier break at wide receiver in this range, but I do feel like Kyron is a little bit different. Not getting enough of a fall on Brees for me to care. I will just take Kyron. I will invest in the Rams. Give me a good offense. I think we're okay. But I know I was hoping for it. I didn't want to jinx it, and even without mentioning it, did not get it. But would have been nice. I was hoping to get Igbokwe there. A little bit surprised that Davidson does take Igbokwe, in all honesty. So this is not what I was hoping for. I really wanted Igbokwe at pick 39. He goes 36. So maybe I should have taken T. Higgins. Loveland goes. I mean, it's not quite as unique as it could be. Yeah, let's do this. I don't take Burden very often, but I'm willing to pull him up. Get some divisional correlation, Amon-Ra and Burden, and I'll get him on this side of the board. Doesn't usually go on this side of the board, but if I was just taking the fall in value, Breece Hall would have been the pick. But I'm convinced, kind of like last year, that Breece is really like late 4th, early 5th type of value. It's kind of like the argument I'm telling you with Jeremiah Love. Like, really, some of those offenses are just really bad spots. And, like, we already have a bad offense running back. I don't want a second. The Jets and Dolphins are essentially tanking for Arch Manning. They're really trying to get that number 1 overall pick. So, few touchdowns in those offenses. We're taking the Ben Johnson offense with this Luther Burden investment. If somehow Rome Odunze circles back, I would love to take Rome Odunze. Not going to expect it. But then I'm also in kind of a weird situation where the Colston Loveland drafter might snipe me on Caleb at 62. That might be what happens. But Young Moolah, what's up, says Arch Manning stinks. At the moment, yeah, he kind of stinks. But the legacy of the Manning family, I feel like that's just still what a lot of front offices are plotting in their mind. I'm not saying it's correct or not. I'm just saying the build up to Arch Manning in the NFL is absolutely driving a lot of decisions. But in general, the rookie quarterback class next year is pretty solid, at least expected to be. He played against cheerleaders in high school. Well, he's probably going to suck his rookie season, just like Peyton. But yes, there is a bit more indication that this may be accurate rather than not. So I'm not saying it's right. I mean, like, if the Jets get him and he sucks, that'd be the most, like, Jets thing ever. You know what I mean? Like, when they finally do tank correctly, it's for a guy that just doesn't fucking play well. But Rome goes. I was hoping to get Rome, in all honesty. That's who I really wanted. We do not get him. But Carnell Tate goes. I'm not really convinced that Christian Watson is worth the price, to be honest with you. I'm just not fully sold. So I think we're just going to invest in Jacksonville. And then there's a player I'm really hoping comes back, but more likely than not, he will get taken. I think more likely he will get scooped up. But I think we can navigate it, especially if this team does take Caleb. That's what I'm really hoping for. He goes RJ Harvey. Okay, that's sweet. It's just not what I was planning to do. I wanted Brian Thomas here, and we go double Jacksonville around that turn. The Liam Cohen offense is one of those no-brainers, just going to work out. And now we have more of an excuse to go with Trevor Lawrence in the next round. But there is a world where maybe even Parker Washington circles back. That would be very interesting. But regardless, I could go 4 straight Jags with picks 82 and 87 to complete the quad stack. I would be pretty okay with that. And so far, like, other than Miami, just from a raw, like, talent on offense standpoint, we got the Lions in this team, we got the Rams on this team, we got the Bears represented on this team, and then we have 2 Jaguars. So far, so good. But, yo, this is hilarious, Who Hames. I don't know what is going on, why the translation filter is on, but your sup fam comment is coming up as family soup. The Google Translate has no clue what the fuck you mean. That's cracking me up. That's really funny. But in general, we do have plus EV when we draft late at night. I would agree with this statement, young Moolah. But I could also go Trevor Etienne if I really wanted to. Good point, Pepper Tony. We could still have a triple Etienne in theory. If you do get an Achane Etienne team in rounds 2 and 3, you could have a triple Achane with Trevor super late. But that team at 2 does go Caleb and Herbert unstacked. Very interesting. Ugandan Woodball was not an option on my poll. Very disappointed. I genuinely don't know what Ugandan Woodball is, my friend. I wish I did. It sounds interesting. Is that the thing with like there's like a scoop thing on people's hands and they just like fling a ball against a wall at like 100 miles per hour? You know what I'm talking about? That's definitely not what it's called. That's not the sport that you're like referring to. Maybe you just made this shit up. But this is what I assume you're talking about. That's the weird sport. It's like highlight or something. Something weird. No one tanking better than the Browns this year. I think Shador could throw a little wrench in that system, but most likely those are the 3 teams vying for that number 1 pick. Those 3 teams for sure. Yes, highlight. Is it with a J? I'm not sure. But this team is coming together fairly nicely, in all honesty. I feel pretty good about this team so far. And he does go Jalen Warren. So not going to fuck around. Myers is still on the board, so there could be an excuse that one of these 2 teams is like, fuck it, give me a Jacksonville stack. Let's get ahead of that and go with Trevor Lawrence. At the moment, we have both Baishal Tootin and Brian Thomas stacked up with Trevor Lawrence. We're possibly in line to draft a 4th Jaguar as well with pick 87. But Addison goes. Myers does get sniped. So a team at 12 sniped us on Igbuka, sniped me on Hampton. Took an unstacked Burrow. That's kind of unique. And then pulled up Warren. I'm not going to say I love that, but very interesting. I think I might go Tucker Kraft here. Kind of in the market for Rico Dowdle. Chuba has fallen, though. Chuba's pretty interesting. Can I sneak him in? Yeah, we'll just take him at a falling value. That's fine. At the moment, Chuba is the RB1 in Carolina. At the moment, he is the guy. So we're just locking up touches, getting in early at running back, and I can ignore the position for a while. But we're doing okay. But Michael Scott throwing me some shade. Love to see it. Appreciate your subscription, Michael Scott. Thank you for commenting, letting me know. We're still in round 8. I feel pretty good about it. I'm not upset. The Luther Burden price, I understand the hate, though. I understand the hate. Oh, no. Yeah, I did. I did take Chuba at a legitimate falling value. We are going running back heavy early on this team. Suck it. This is funny, though. I appreciate your honest opinion. In general, anyone's honest opinion, I appreciate. Never gonna hate on that, so. You don't have to like it, man. Oh, Dart goes 96. It's a good value on Jackson Dart. But Parker D has not taken a running back since Bijan, going heavy wide receiver investment. in honor of Michael Scott. Let's take a rip from the pipe. Rico goes 99. This is probably one of the only categories of people that don't like honest opinions. This, narcissists, and who else? Pastors. At least they don't like too many questions. I was the guy in catechism growing up that would like be told to like stop asking this many questions. Like I'd always have some question. But QJ falls back. Might just take him. I think I'll mix in Xavier Worthy, though. I have a lot more Quentin Johnston than Xavier Worthy, and then there's a pretty solid like tier of quarterbacks that's going to circle back. I don't need running back at this point, so Pollard and Jadarian Price definitely not in the cards at all. QJ does fall back again. Do I just take QJ? I don't think so. It's between Kyler and Jared Goff. I think I'm just going to go Jared Goff. We have Amon-Ra. Let's just get the stack. And I still don't have tight end yet, but who cares? We're letting QJ fall. I drafted so much QJ just out of habit in like the 8th round for a long time, and then I didn't check my exposure for a very long time, and it's just like it was egregiously high, the percentage of Quentin Johnston that I had. So I've just kind of written him off the board for a while. Like if he makes it to me at 120, I guess I'll take him, but in general, even round 10, I'll just continue to pass on QJ. But I'm starting to think that in this lobby the hate went a little too far. Maybe I should have just grabbed him, but want to get in at quarterback before the big cliff. We have Amon-Ra, so Jared Goff was always in contention. We did not let the team who got Laporta get him, but they get the Jefferson-Kyler stack, so they were in good shape regardless. But a little surprised that the teams at 11 and 12 did not take quarterback there. I'm sure the Mahomes team was pretty upset. I scooped up Worthy, but they pull up Kelsey. That's the highest I've seen Kelsey go, and I don't think it's bad, especially with your next pick at 131. That's where he was going last year, and he paid off. But in general, in this contest, you could get Kelsey even in the 170s, so it's just odd to force it that much. But I suppose there's a world where he wouldn't come back. I did snipe him on Worthy in the first place, so might have just felt bitter, felt a little desperate. But he also had Loveland early, so yeah, very unnecessary pick from Team 11. So Baker and Darnold, two FF lovers. Unstacked. Oh no, he does have JSN. Okay, yeah, the team is the team with JSN, but goes with Ramondre and Rico. Honestly, don't hate Team 2. Team 2 is unique. I respect Team 2, but different approach. Team 2 can still work out. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Team 2. But just from a floor standpoint, the correct pick is probably Khalil Shakir, but he's not an inspiring selection to me ever, in all honesty. I'm really not excited. So I'm just going to get my first tight end and go Goddard. And if someone lets Shakir fall back to me, then I'll consider him. But in all honesty, I really don't feel excited when Shakir is on the board.
Nice and blonde.
Nah. Let's just get someone I really trust. I have enough McMillan. At this point, I'm kind of just all in on Omar Cooper Jr. for the remainder of the contest, and he's not going to make it back. So let's just do that. Okay. Looks like Michael Scott is just going a little too crazy. Let's get rid of Michael Scott. Yeah, let's just go. Pretty simple. Spamming it way too much. All right, so this is a 2-4-5-1. We got Amon-Ra, Luther Burden, Brian Thomas, and Xavier Worthy. I think we're fine. We're still going to need more receivers. That's why we took Omar Cooper Jr. with our last pick. But our running back room is strong. We have Achan Kyron, Baishal Tootin, and Chuba Hubbard. We get a lot of touches, 4 starters, and that's not going to be a problem. Quarterback room, Trevor Lawrence with a double stack with Tootin and Thomas. And then we do have Jared Goff with Amon-Ra. Oh, what? He's still in here? There we go. That's what it is. Okay. Don't need that shit. All right. I will just take Brenton Strange. Nothing wrong with a little Strange over here. We do have Trevor Lawrence get that double stack. Triple stack, I guess. I like the fantasy dog just went back at him. But FK Cooler's a little board brings out the passion in the chat. I know, with so much on the line, it's really, really important. I don't have much Keaton Mitchell. I might just do that. Yeah, we don't have much Keaton Mitchell in general. And we don't have Hampton on this team. Also, he fell a little bit past ADP. Only 5 picks. He was at the top of ADP when Strange was there, so we're good. But Fantasy Dog, no worries, man. It is what it is. The Diggs free fall, but ETR still has him ranked way above ADP. Yeah, I probably should have taken Diggs instead of Strange, but I did not want to get sniped on a stacking partner, and I thought he could honestly come back. One more pick. Was very close, but he does feel like a really good value. Same with like Juwan Jennings. They just don't have a team, but they feel like good values. The only thing about Diggs is that he does have that lawsuit thing pending, and there's maybe like a suspension in the cards. It is possible with Stephon Diggs. Oh, I've exited the chat. I lost my filter. That's what's going on. Had to close the linked chat. But I think we have it back. Yeah, there we go. Cooler says I like to fall on Diggs since I think he may be more advanced piece than ceiling. Nice. He's been consistent last few years. Like every time he changes teams, he actually shows up. Like it's only when he gets comfortable with a team and starts to be like annoying in the locker room and the team gets tired of him. But like when it's the first year there and he's got a lot to prove, he's actually been like really good every time he changes uniforms. Like his first year in Buffalo was like record setting practically. He was like a top 3, top 5 wide receiver. If you had him down the stretch that season, like he was the piece you needed to win a championship in many instances. Diggs was amazing in his first year with Buffalo, and then slowly things soured, but his first year in Houston was actually pretty good too. For the price you had to pay to draft him, he was actually pretty effective his first year in Houston. He did get hurt, and that's why it didn't work out, but on a per game basis, he was fairly good. And then we didn't believe he'd really be healthy in time last year, but he well outperformed ADP, and he did play pretty well. So it does feel like we're sleeping on him at this price, but given the trends, I was willing to let him circle back to me. He almost did, but I would definitely take him over Tyreek Hill. Probably Isaac Tesla as well. Yeah, definitely over Tesla. Ayuk for sure, Hunter for sure, but Hunter also has some high upside if he can figure things out, so I get why he might go sooner. Jennings and Diggs feel like in the same tier, and like they used to go in like the 10th, 11th round, and they probably still should, but Mooney just came off the board. I'm not going to draft Geno Smith. I don't think I need to. I think I'm going to go Trey Harris. I think Trey Harris is one of the names like down this far that truly can break out in a big way. Like legitimately offer massive return on this draft capital. Is it a guarantee? Of course not. But 178... I'm not convinced that they're actually bringing back Keenan Allen. I would have considered Christian Kirk with my pick. So to get sniped is a little unfortunate. But our running back room is fairly strong. This is the last round, though, where I'm really comfortable. I think I'm just going to take Brian Robinson. I think we're just going to get our 6th running back and take Brian Robinson. Bijan's backup. Last year, Algier scored 8 touchdowns. It's a role you would like to have. He is not going to make it back to me. So I'll just take him here. I think he's an excellent pick. The name that should be rising. But maybe because it wasn't like such early in the free agency cycle when he like finally signed, maybe people are just a little unenthused. But in terms of like situation... We have Pacheco's backup going right behind him, higher in ADP. Like, at least with Pacheco, I get the hype. Like, he wasn't drafted in so many contests. You're getting a more unique piece. Maybe he should be moving up a little faster. But to get Gibbs backup and it be Pacheco versus Bijan's backup and it be Brian Robinson, I think Brian Robinson is going to contribute a little bit more than Pacheco. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel a little bit more confident in Brian Robinson's talent and ability to stay healthy than I do Pacheco. And I'm not convinced his situation is worse than Pacheco's. So I prefer B-Rob. And then y'all know how I feel about Tank Bigsby, who does go 194. A little bit hopeful he would circle back, but didn't expect it. I don't need it, though. I'm probably just done at running back. We went a little high investment early. We went 4 running backs for the first 8 rounds. And the Keaton, Brian Robinson selections are just like premier elite handcuffs. If the starter were to go down, you probably have a top 10 running back. Most likely. Maybe Keaton Mitchell is the wrong guy to take. Maybe it should be Kimani Vidal, but I do think Keaton has a little bit more explosive ability than Kimani. So I'm willing to agree he deserves to go a little sooner. He got paid a lot more than Kimani Vidal. Nice. And I'm willing to trust that price tag investment, that's their main guy. Jeremy Bernard did go 197 to Tom Servo. That was a name I was interested in. So a little bummed he didn't make it back. But we're in fairly good shape. I think I'm going to go... I think I'm just going to take Terrence Ferguson, actually. Get that 3rd tight end. High spike week upside with Terrence Ferguson. Definitely can score from like well outside the 30-yard line. And despite a crowded tight end room, I'm not a real believer in Tyler Higbee. I just don't view him as like the main guy. And I kind of feel like we've faded these Rams tight ends a little bit too much. Past pick 200, I think both of them are legit. And because Ferguson was my boy last year, second round draft capital, year 2 breakout, definitely in the cards. I will take him here, but I'm also fine with the price on Colby Parkinson a little bit later. But I either go like Aaron Rodgers or just push quarterback. I'm going to just push quarterback. I'll take Surratt. I think he's a round 2 draft pick. I don't think he's going to slip past pick 65. I think he'll be taken in round 2. So maybe a better landing spot if he's more late round 2. You might get a really good offense, good quarterback to pair with him. And at pick 207, I'm willing to take a gamble on Elijah Surratt. We have both Indiana wide receivers. Omar Cooper Jr. 135, Elijah Surratt 207, and I think they're both capable of contributing year 1. I think Cooper's better, but Surratt I don't think gets enough love sometimes alongside him. But they're both good. But Young Moolah saying smash the like button. Appreciate you. We are sitting at 16 likes and 25 viewers. Appreciate everyone for joining and dropping a like. If you're enjoying this live stream, if you're liking the team, if you're interested in doing another one, answer the poll, subscribe to the channel, and we are definitely planning on doing a second one after this, regardless of the likes, in all honesty. Today, let's just do it. But the poll has shifted. It was heavy in favor of the little board early, but it looks like the big board is now in pole position. So if you are interested in switching up that poll, let your voice be heard. Answer the poll in favor of the big or the little board. But interesting that teams 2 and 3 now have 8 running backs apiece. Both of them have taken 4 running backs in the last 4 rounds, and they were like fairly heavy. Like team 2 is egregious. Team 2 is ridiculous. Has Gibbs, Chase Brown, Javonte, and Dave Montgomery. Pulled up Montgomery pick 50. And then also has Emmett Johnson, Dylan Sampson, Tank Bigsby, and Ray Davis. Just unnecessary. Only has Dalton Kincaid at tight end. Quarterback room is pretty strong. Caleb, Justin Herbert, and Stafford. But literally none of those quarterbacks are stacked up. And only, at least Caleb and Herbert do run the ball. But like, what's the point? Receiver room, Olave, Dobbs, Coker, McMillan, Shaheed, Debo. And that's it. Yeah, I'm not envious of team 2. Way too much draft capital early on and late at running back. I had a lot of draft capital early at running back, but I didn't commit too much. I think I'm all right. But a little bit gross this late. Just a little bit. I think I'm going to go Antonio Williams, actually. Another rookie willing to mix it in. Don't have a shit ton, but I think I'm trying to stay in line with like 6-7%. We got Antonio Williams there in round 19. Only 1 round left. Quarterback is probably the move. I have Lawrence and Goff both stacked.
Nice and blown.
Running back is set. Receiver's good enough, but a lot of faith on Luther Burden. Not convinced that's going to hit my lineup enough. Worthy is also like a pretty low floor guy. And then we do have 3 rookies that could just be very unlucky in terms of landing spots. So no one that's like really convinced me it's like going to save me. I think having a 9th is fair on this team. I think I'm going to go Skylar Bell. He's injured, but if he can play, I think he has a lot of upside. So I don't have him like at all. Just another rookie. So 4 rookies on this team at the receiver position. And I think we'll be okay. But some high spike week capabilities with Goddard, Brenton Strange, and Terrence Ferguson. I think they can all offer at least like 5+ touchdowns, and hopefully they ping pong, get in my lineup at the right time, and we're all set. But Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff. Beischel Tootin, a little mini stack. Maybe not the most valuable to have with T-Law, but I do think it's legit. And then Brian Thomas and Brenton Strange with Trevor Lawrence. And then Amon-Ra, just very safe pick in round 1. So perhaps the risk of the Dolphins backfield is just the wrong way to go, but love the talent with Achane. Still think he's a good pick there. Kyren in a great offense. Might lose some touches, maybe, just maybe, that they bring in Jarquez Hunter a little bit more than we expect. But unless Kyren gets hurt, I just really don't see him not playing well. Like, you want to fade the Rams offense? I think at the 3-4 turn, Kyren is the best pick among running backs. I believe that. And then Tootin either sucks or is great, but we got him at 54. I think at late round 5 to just, at this point in time, give me the Jaguars RB1 sounds appropriate. I want the Liam Cohen backfield in my lineup. We get Brian Thomas in the 6th, so I almost played it the opposite way. Took Brian Thomas first, but I'm glad I did it how I did. We got the stack I wanted. Then we go T-Law, who in the fantasy playoffs last year was dropping 40+ points. Like, he was one of the guys you needed to advance in the playoff structure. So I'm going to trust year 2 in the system and a lot of receivers. That offense should be really high powered. And by moving off of ETN, like, maybe they are planning to go a little bit more pass heavy in Jacksonville. It is possible. So that feels pretty good. And then to have Chuba Hubbard as my 4th feels really, really safe. Like, I've been drafting a lot more Jonathan Brooks, but I don't want to completely fade Chuba at all. And we got a really nice price on him. He fell a full round past ADP. He's going at 75 these days. I've seen him in the 6th quite often. I've seen him at pick 66, 68, in the 70s quite often. We get him 87, and just from that standpoint alone, there was no way he'd come back, and I do think this is the appropriate value, where I think he's going to pay off. As long as we just don't see Jonathan Brooks like really prove the doubters wrong. Like, only in the world where Brooks dominates do I think Chuba goes down. I was watching Fantasy Football Roundup yesterday, hopped in his chat, and asked him a few questions on his perspective on the Carolina backfield. He's really in on Chuba, and I did see him taking Chuba in the 6th. So I asked him what his perspective on that was, and like, he just doesn't believe in Brooks at all, and he also doesn't believe in the rookie draft class to have anyone that can really compete with Chuba. Like, unless they somehow get Jadarian Price, it's kind of hard to believe that there's someone that will overtake Chuba in this year's rookie draft. Maybe Emmett Johnson can do it, but in general, the last 2 years, even 3 years, the Panthers backfield has been very ambiguous, but also very valuable. There's been some high spike weeks, a lot of 20-point games, and we have seen Dave Canales commit to giving the main guy like a lot of touches. Like, especially when we pull up Rico Dowdle, like those massive games of his, he was getting insane volume. I want to be accurate about this, so let's just look at his game log. Last year, there were the stretches where he had that 200-yard performance, 23 carries, and 3 receptions, so 26 touches on that one. And then the week after against Dallas, 30 carries, 5 targets, 4 catches, 34 total touches. And that wasn't the only time it happened. Another game with 27 touches, 25 on the ground. Like, as long as we are getting the RB1 in Carolina, we're going to get a lot of touch commitment. So from a volume standpoint, for Chuba to fall that far, I was happy to take him. Would have had to pull up a quarterback or just go like Jackson Dart unstacked. And for the sake of the build, maybe taking Kyren wasn't like totally necessary. Maybe I should have gone T. Higgins. Maybe I should have taken Neighbors instead of Achane. But I like how it worked out. I think we're in good shape. If Worthy does indeed pay off, then this team's in very, very good shape. The Worthy bet is a little bit critical, but in general, the floor of Amon-Ra to be a top 5 wide receiver, the upside of Luther Burden to spike in our lineup with 25 plus points fairly often, that's pretty good. And then I am just a true believer that Brian Thomas will bounce back in a major way, whether he's traded or not. I think he's going to be pretty valuable. I do actually have a bet going on at the moment with Jiri Football when he was on, I forget if it was my channel or his. I am very pro Brian Thomas. He loves Parker Washington. And while I think Parker Washington can return on investment here in the 7th, I don't think he's going to outscore Brian Thomas. So my bet with Jiri is that Thomas will outscore Parker straight up, and the loser will have to pay for a joint bigger board entry next season. The only contingencies is that Thomas and Parker have to both remain Jaguars. So if Thomas gets traded, this bet is negated. And then the only other caveat is if one player is so injured that they miss more than half the season. You have to play at least 10 games in Jacksonville alongside the other one for the bet to count. But I am on team Brian Thomas. I think from a talent standpoint, that was a no-brainer. I have seen some good chemistry with Parker Washington. There's a world where Jiri is correct, but I think if Thomas stays healthy, I think I'll be okay. I genuinely believe if there's one Jags receiver that can just crush his ADP and really, really move up the board in next year's prices, I believe it would be Brian Thomas. But Jacoby Myers being there definitely scares me a little bit, just a little too crowded. And then there's always the scenario that actually that player that will move up the board like crazy is Travis Hunter. They did draft him number 2 overall, but at the moment he's a corner. Brian Thomas also a first round pick. I think Thomas is better, and I put my money on Brian Thomas. So like this team, maybe the quarterbacks could have been better. Like having a third that I would have trusted maybe would have been nice. Perhaps I should have gone like Kyler and Goff around the turn there instead of taking Worthy. Maybe that's the only thing that would have changed my like true confidence, because having a good third that just runs the ball, I think is what this team is missing. Lawrence sometimes runs the ball, but Goff never does. But they can both put up top 6 numbers at the position on the season. So let's just double down. Let's just assume that's correct and not force it on this roster. Once Brissett was taken, there's really no one that really interests me that much anymore. Like at times I'll take Tua if it's stacked. At times I'll still take Rodgers, but I feel like I have enough Aaron Rodgers. And I'm also interested in Cousins at times, but the only other starter you can lock in is Shador. So quarterback gets thin early, and I'm willing to risk just 2 QBs in the little board. Only $3 investment. Not going to shy away from a little bit more risk. So receiver should get it done. Running back absolutely going to get it done. And then quarterback just needs to stay healthy. And then tight end is pretty solid in terms of upside. I like this team. I think we're in good shape. But in general, I'm not drafting Luther Burden too much. That one feels a little shaky. And then Worthy also, don't draft him very much. But I fade Rashee Rice so much that I should probably take more Xavier Worthy. I probably should. It's kind of like my Tank Bigsby bet. I've faded Saquon a lot. I should probably take the opposite name in that offense. With Worthy, I think I need to be taking him a little bit more often. He's fallen far enough where I think the spike week value is legit. It's possible he was just hurt so badly last year. That's why he sucked. But back to the chat. Looks like the poll is still rocking with Big Board. Wanted to give it a minute, and we will review Pepper Tony's squad before we draft our second team. So Pepper Tony in at the 4 has Lamar and Jalen Hurts. Pretty good 2 QB build. And I do think at pick 52, Lamar is the correct selection, even unstacked, but does have Derrick Henry, so locking up pretty much every rushing touchdown in Baltimore. That's not a bad plan. Waited for Dobbins at pick 93 as the RB2. That's legit. Has Kenny Gainwell, Rashad White, and then Tyrone Tracy as the 5th. So felt the pressure, filled it in nicely. I think that works, especially if the Giants don't draft Jeremiah Love. This price on Tracy is very legit. But there's a world where late season production is not as potent as the early season points in this backfield, because Dobbins is more of an early season guy in my opinion. Probably gets hurt. Same with Tyrone. Once Scadaboo returns, he's probably not as valuable. And then Rashad and Gainwell, a little bit more floor plays, but Derrick Henry can spike and drop 50. So good running back room. Katron 213, very legit. Receiver has Jamar, AJ Brown, Terry, and DK Metcalf. Travis Hunter, Kayshon Boutte, Ridley, and Chris Bell. Pretty solid. The top two are so good. Terry is great. Metcalf at ADP, honestly, I think it's a little too high. Like, I'm starting to be convinced that the better value is actually Pittman straight up. And it's not that Metcalf is bad, but like, if you don't get his like huge blow up game in the fantasy playoffs, he's just not that appealing to me. I've always kind of felt like underwhelmed with the production that Metcalf has actually put forth. I feel like he's actually a bit overrated. I've started to take Addison straight up over Metcalf, but in this range, a lot of receivers are just so flat, it doesn't really matter. If you have a strong take on Metcalf there, I don't blame you. He used to go in the 6th comfortably, so to get him in the 7th, no problemo. I'm not going to nitpick that. But some of the depth pieces at receiver, little shaky. Like, I'm trying to take more Ridley, but still a little risky. Chris Bell, we'll see. Only one rookie, so not that much risk involved. Travis Hunter, either it is phenomenal or it is literally a 0, but we're playing best ball, worth the gamble. And then Kayshon Boutte, right at ADP. At this moment, legit, but a little bit hard to say exactly. But a good spike week guy. Very, very good. But the top 3 are so strong. This is the risk you can totally tolerate. And then tight end, you do have Kittle as the number 1. Love that you took 4. Njoku, K-Dot, and Mike Gesicki. None of them stacked, but who cares? Maybe you luck into the Njoku stack. That'd be fun. But glad you took 4, honestly. With Kittle, I think you kind of need to take 4 if he's your first. If you're going with like Bowers, Kittle, I still think you should take a 3rd. But whenever Kittle's my first, I think it's worth taking 4. So like the team, very balanced, very solid. Love the quarterback room. And as Fantasy Dog said, good team. Let's just hope that the floors of these running backs pays off to advance, and then they do crack the ceiling at the right time. That's the only fear I have, that like Dobbins and Tracy just might not be valuable come December, but they should probably help get you there, and that's all you need at the end of the day. So nice job, Pepper Tony. Pretty good team. But Huhaim saying Chuba was hurt all those games. Is this when I was spotlighting Rico Dowdle? Yeah, probably. And then there were some games when he came back when like Dowdle just completely was worthless. But against San Francisco, they all sucked. Against Tampa, only 9 touches. It was a weird backfield, but they moved off of Dowdle. Brooks is going to be given a shot, but in general wouldn't expect anything. And if I'm wrong about Brooks, like that logic would indicate, then Chuba is a good click. From a volume standpoint, then Chuba is going to get you plenty of points to carry you over the line. So at that fall, I like the Chuba click, despite some pushback in the chat. But let me just catch up real fast. Two Mules says, wish I could join the fun, but in Doug Ford's Ontario, too much fun must be taxed into squashed. Limited to drafters and learned to like it. I have still not signed up for... Actually, no, scratch that. I do have a drafters account, but then I was gonna deposit recently and try it out. I've never deposited over there. And like something went wrong to verify my account. It was so frustrating. Their customer service took forever. I got fed up. I just went back to Underdog. But Huhaim's voted for the little board. Didn't work out. Rich maxed it already, so can't vote for it. And then, let's see. Huhaim's, I know a guy with a promo code. I'm not sure it's going to work. I think I have to just set up a new account if I want to use your promo code, which I probably should just do that. But I'm going to lose the nice and blunt handle, sadly. Sadly, I'm not going to get to keep that. But I haven't deposited yet. So is it a deposit code or is it a sign-up code? Because the account already exists. But anyways. Think DK Metcalf is a bit underpriced. Agree in the past when taking him in the 3rd, 5th rounds was overpriced, like him in the 5th. Like him in the 7th, though, for his spike week potential. That's fair. Yeah, the spike week, he can drop like 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's done that before. In the right matchup, he can be unguardable, but oftentimes he does not show up that way consistently enough. And I also didn't think his chemistry was good enough with Rodgers last year, where I'm like totally convinced he's going to smash. I think with the addition of Pittman, it'll help him coverage-wise. I also like the addition of Mike McCarthy, but they paid Pittman enough where I'm not convinced that just like talent-wise Metcalf has enough to outshine him, because I do think they're going to try and make Pittman work. And the Pitt man in Pittsburgh, maybe he's a bit more of a fan favorite. Metcalf can also get suspended at any point in time. But good to know, Hames. I will definitely use that if I do indeed try to do that. But okay, let's move on. We didn't have anybody else drafting with us in this lobby, so let's do it. I've waited long enough. We have 33 watchers, 21 likes, and we are hopping into a big board. Let me make sure I have it ready on the phone in case we get locked out. Just in case. Want to fail safe, but I will be hopping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's try it. We do get the location error, but I am hopping in on my phone. I promise you. 7 more spots to go. 7 more spots. Let's go. But you're welcome, Peppertoni. How many big boards have you done? Because I remember listening to you on Hames on that collab you did when you were on his channel, and you were like, it sounded like you were refusing to draft until free agency, and it sounds like maybe you're just also refusing to do any big boards as well, which I respect. To take a stance early on, not wasting the money on the big boards, only little boards, that's fair. That's legit. I respect that. Personally, I feel like I've done a few too many big boards, but then in all honesty, we also negotiated some site credit with Underdog a few weeks ago, and that definitely helps the budget a little bit. Definitely helps the budget. So we have 1 spot left. The garage is in here. What's up, my man? Good to see ya. I wish I was on StreamYard, actually. I thought about it when Hames was in here earlier. Thought about sending him a link to join, but then I remembered I'm on OBS, so I can't do that. And then maybe I should do more in StreamYard with that in mind, just in case I can invite someone and let them hop in. But on OBS, I still haven't figured out how to do it. I think I need to figure out Zoom, how to get Zoom also in OBS. I think I've done that before with Angus, and then on Zoom I can like share my screen, and then in that scenario I can stick with OBS. But Peppertoni saying to use Discord. I probably should get on. I've dragged my feet a little too much, but that's still a bit unfamiliar to me. But we got FK Coolers in this lobby at pick 1. We have Green Bean drafting at 3. We also have Young Moolah GAB for life in at the 105. I pulled the 107 right in the middle of the board. I'll take that. We have Fantasy Dog in here at 10. And then if I didn't recognize you, if you're also in this lobby, let me know. I feel like I might have seen Riot watching in the past. It's possible. And then that's the only one that maybe. But that I can't confirm. I'm not sure 100%. But Hames says, yeah, use Discord. Okay, maybe I will have to finally rip the Band-Aid and set up a Discord account. Maybe, just maybe. You know what? This is a very, very valid point, Fantasy Dog. I have neglected one of my duties. I have neglected one of my jobs as host. But I'm curious to see what Young Moolah is going to do. Pulled up Genty to the 105. Very interesting. Can I get JSN here at the 7? That'd feel awesome, but don't think it's going to happen. Not expecting it at all. Come on. Doesn't let me get it. That's a bummer. My ranks say Amon-Ra, but I got plenty of them. I don't have much Taylor. Not gonna lie, I've not been drafting Taylor very often. So fuck it, let's do it. Not a big value when you really think about it, only one pick, but I guess at the top of the draft board, one pick is a big deal. But I have seen Taylor go as far as like 10 before. Maybe even later. It's whatever. In general, I just don't draft Jonathan Taylor very much. He's one of the players I'm kind of fading. So this one, let's just mix it in a little bit more. He is capable of dropping a 250-yard, 3-touchdown game, so he could just be the guy you need. He can definitely do that. So I should probably draft him a little bit more, given it's towards the end of the contest. Mix him in at a higher rate. So get him at the 107. Let's do it. And that's not the end of the world. But Bindle's in here. What's up, man? My man. GM. Nice to see ya. Pepper Tony wanted me to pull up Achan. I figured I'd take a shot for him to circle back. But no, he goes to pick 12 with James Cook. And then Huhaim saying, if you stream with OBS, you can invite to OBS and share camera there. Then on Discord, you can privately share your screen with the guest. Gotcha. Okay, good to know. But Pepper Tony does not need a reminder. He just stays token. We're going to take this pick. My rank says Kenneth Walker. ADP says Trey McBride. But I think I'm going to go with a player I don't take very often. I'm going to go with Drake London. I'm not trying to fade Drake London, but oftentimes he gets sniped when I kind of want to take him. And then I kind of also forget to grab him above ADP at times. I think I need more exposure to Drake London. So at least in this first 2 rounds, I'm getting a little bit unique for the sake of my combinations. I don't think I have more than one Jonathan Taylor, Drake London team. Odds are, I don't think I have much of this. If anything, this might be my first Jonathan Taylor, Drake London combo. I don't have best ball overlay, so can't totally confirm, but if I had to guess, just for the sake of exposure, this is not a combination I have very much of. But I promised you the drop. Let's take a rip from the pipe, everyone. If you got something to smoke, go ahead and join me. Vámonos. All right. Let's get the music back. And while we're waiting, I'll probably pack some more weed. I just finished the bowl on that one, so. All right, so Young Moolah, the only one getting like super unique, has Ashton Genty, Derrick Henry, and we were 1 pick away from getting JSN at 7, but he goes to the team at 6, who pairs him with Walker. But Trey McBride fell to the Gibbs team at pick 23. I believe that's correct. I think at the tight ends should be going closer to the 2-3 turn than the middle of the second. For the sake of the build, I do not like drafting Trey McBride before pick 22. I'm not gonna lie. I don't love it. And even then, I kind of feel like it's almost worth pushing like the team with Olave at 22 did. Like, maybe only one of those teams is going to take tight end and you still get Bowers to circle back to you. But I know there's no fucking chance I get Bowers here. Young Moolah, 100% I expect to take Brock Bowers with Genty and Derrick Henry. The clock is ticking, so I thought that would have been an auto click. Maybe he's just mulling it over, but I'm expecting Bowers. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, Genty Bowers with Derrick Henry. That's actually pretty solid. That's pretty dope. Not gonna lie, very legit. But Jacobs goes. The ADP says Allen, but my rank says AJ Brown. I will stick with my rank. Give me AJ Brown. We will trust that Taylor as our anchor is correct. Not gonna force a running back click there. No one that I really loved. I think Bucky can circle back. I don't take Breece Hall. Kyron already off the board. And Javonte is typically just a regular 4th-round pick. So I'm not going to force Javonte above A.J. Brown when I'm a big believer that A.J. Brown is one of the best clicks on the board in round 3. I genuinely think he's one of the few names that could be going as early as the first round that should pay off that upside in the third. I don't trust Tet to have that level upside. T. Higgins in any given week can do that, but generally misses time. So on the season, probably not going to do that. And I think after last year, A.J. Brown barely cracking 1,000 yards, only 7 touchdowns. I think he's hungry. I think he's going to deliver on the draft capital. So I'm pretty excited. I think A.J. Brown mid-third feels correct, but interesting to see Allen falling to pick 35. Wow, if Allen goes in the 4th, that's going to be dope. And this is very interesting. Will the James Cook drafter get Josh Allen? No, he will not. The team at 11 says not today. So close, but not today. All right, all right. What's good, Right Tie? Nice to see ya. Fantasy Dog has a plan. He did take Jeremiah Love pick 10. I'm guessing with Neighbors there at 15, the plan has something to do with a Giants stack that hopes that Jeremiah Love is a New York Giant. That's what I'm guessing the plan is, Fantasy Dog. That's going to be my assumption on what we're doing. But Right Eye thinks this is a little board. It is not, actually. This is an interesting... this is more unique of a board than the little board we did earlier. It's being drafted like one. We had Allen fall to 35 in this. But I'll take Zay Flowers here. If I had to guess, I'm not getting the stack, but it's worth a gamble. And I do think Zay Flowers in the 4th is a smash pick. With Igbuka off the board, Bucky goes, Javonte goes. If I was going running back, the only name I would have really desired there was Javonte Williams, and he was not available. So let's just take another receiver. We have to start 3, so it's never bad to get in on wide receiver early. We have the same approach as Fantasy Dog from a build standpoint. He also has running back in round 1, then wide receiver, 2 through 4. But Hartman's in here. What's up, my man? How you doing? Good to see ya. And then Right Eye says, don't see much Lamb Jefferson in the last month. Yeah, that's been hard to find. But Genty got pulled up. Jeremiah Love got pulled up. And Jefferson was still on the board after the team at 12 went Achane and Cook. So kind of unique, but it's not like teams earlier in this contest didn't have it. But with Allen, definitely Team 11 is a unique start. Can't deny Team 11 has a much rarer combo as of typical drafts these days. In the month of March, not going to see a ton of teams like that. But smoke it up. Young Moolah did have plenty of reasons to smoke it up on that one. A dream start for him was going to take Bowers in the 2nd. He passed for Henry, and he gets that Las Vegas correlation with Genty and Bowers with Henry in between. There are very few teams that are set up like that. Like, of all of the ways for this to go for Young Moolah, I think this was like genuinely as good as it could possibly go. Like, phenomenal start from Young Moolah. I'm jealous of Young Moolah's team, not gonna lie. But Pepper Tony has a hard time clicking tight end in the first 5 rounds. I think in these 20 round drafts, there's an argument to be made that is a valid take. But in general, you're gonna have at least 3 tight ends on every team. And when you scroll down and realize that like you like your full roster and you also have Bowers, like, it feels pretty awesome. But I don't think they have as much value in this contest with the 20 rounds as they will in a future contest with only 18 rounds. But is Phoenix with a Z, with an X? Yes, he gifts it to me. Let's fucking go. Phenomenal. Let's go. We got the Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson combo. I appreciate Coolers was really the only one I was like genuinely concerned. Might not let it happen. But I think Lamar Jackson should be going in the 4th round. I think the the 20 pick gap between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and then the massive run on quarterback that's going to happen in the 6th round, the 7th, and the 8th. Like, the high price tag on QB, I think, makes the gap between Allen and Lamar pretty egregious when you really think about it. A full 20 picks, but this is a lobby that was pushing quarterback. Allen fell to 35, so just not really valued that much in the first place. If A.J. Brown wasn't on the board, I was taking Allen in round 3. So I'm grateful that the right side of the board stuck with that mentality in the 5th round. I think they messed up to give me a Flowers Lamar Jackson team. Feels pretty dope. I don't have a ton of them, but love to see it. So, as expected, that team that pulled up Terry, pick 37, does go Jaden Daniels, also takes Cortland Sutton above ADP. I mean, being at the 12th pick, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if Thomas is there, I'll take Thomas, but no, he gets sniped. I'm gonna do this. Let's set up this Drake May AJ Brown stack. This is where AJ Brown really delivers on his ADP. Like, Two Mules believes AJ Brown cannot separate anymore. That's why he wasn't getting as many targets. He's still a beast after the catch, though. I think it is more to do with the limitations of Jalen Hurts. I think that's more so one of the reasons why AJ Brown is not delivering like he used to. Maybe he's falling off a little bit due to lack of motivation. I could see that, where just a mentality standpoint, he's just not committing to his routes in the same way because he's just really unenthusiastic and stuff. Like, for him to be reading books on the sideline, you know, he's frustrated. But I think if he gets out of that situation, he has a lot to prove. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's already won a Super Bowl. I believe he's going to get traded. I don't think it's a guarantee it happens before the season. It may just happen at the trade deadline. But I believe that AJ Brown will be on a different roster. And I also believe he will step up from last year. So I'm willing to take the gamble. There's a world where it doesn't work out. But like, when AJ Brown does dominate, he is unguardable. So I do think he's one of the best clicks in the 3rd, especially at receiver. Given Olave was already off the board in this one in the 2nd round, like, T. Higgins pulled up to 25. There is no receiver going after him that I think has a higher ceiling. Maybe Egbuka, maybe Rashee Rice, maybe even Garrett Wilson, but that's probably it in terms of like true top 5 receiver at the end of the year. 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, like that, I think is a truly legit outcome for AJ Brown this year. So he's one of my favorite clicks. And we do try to set up the stack with him and Drake May. I think I'm going to go back at receiver. Like, running back just doesn't really speak to me enough. I think I'll be all right. And in terms of like true upside players I'm willing to pull up, I like Addison a lot. And he's a name that will be going before pick 90, our next selection. So I don't think he circles back. Also opens up another stacking partner. And I know that this lobby started off pushing the quarterback position, but I think I kind of slapped the room into shape a little bit by taking Lamar and Drake May. Like, that team joined me with Caleb and Jackson Dart. And I think with a couple names unavailable that you really trust, there might be a little bit more of a focus on that position as we move through this lobby. But so far, I'm excited with the team. Very strong at receiver, really strong at quarterback. And then we have the anchor with Jonathan Taylor. Obviously need to get back in at that position pretty soon, but feels pretty good. We got the stack set up in Baltimore and New England, hopefully. And even if it's unstacked, it's fine. AJ Brown and Drake May is going to be fine. Young Moolah says, about to build this team with so many outs, y'all in trouble. Well, at the very least, even if you miss on Mendoza, you're not in bad shape. But appreciate you joining in my 2 early quarterback strategy. We also get Team 12 to join in, and he does get Herbert. I kind of expected it with the Ladd McConkey pick. I was like, I probably assume that team's going to take Herbert or Bo Nix with Sutton. But yeah, quarterback could be a lot thinner at the moment, and I'm grateful that I'm not the only team taking 2 high-end guys. But Goff got pulled up. That's notable. And then I will take who I believe is the more valuable Steelers running back, straight up. I might be wrong. Maybe just the fall in price on Jalen Warren there was correct. But I do believe that Rico Dowdle is the better click. Warren is just a bit more of a floor play. Warren is a good advance piece, and maybe, given how I faded running back for quite a while, maybe that was just the better selection. Maybe just get the lowest price on Warren and just try to move on. But Raitai, no. I was hoping that someone else would take Warren. My ranks have it Dowdle over Warren. And I might be wrong, but I believe in the Mike McCarthy connection. I don't believe that Warren is ultimately that talented. He's going to stay on the field, and I don't think he's ever going to dip below like a 40% roll. But I just believe that Dowdle is more capable. And if you told me the other one went down and they are in control of the backfield, getting like 80+% of the touches, I think Rico Dowdle can do more with that volume than Jalen Warren can. I think if there's one guy that can give me 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, it's Rico Dowdle, not Jalen Warren. Warren can consistently give you like a 12, 13 and a half, 14-point game. But I think from a spike week standpoint, I think Dowdle can eclipse 20 more often. But I understand this point. I was kind of locked into what I wanted to do and a little bit disappointed that like Warren was still on the board. But like, this is my opinion. I'm going to stick to my opinion. I'm going to draft as if I'm right and just stick with who I believe is the correct decision. So I stuck to my guns and went Dowdle there. But yes, the price fall was pretty nice. I just think it's still not the correct move. How the fuck is Fannin still on the board? How the fuck is Fannin still on the board? I just have to. Like, what in the actual fuck? How the hell did Harold Fannin fall to 103? ADP 79. I've never seen Fannin this far. That's crazy to me. Kenneth Gainwell to Green Bean went over Harold Fannin. I was genuinely just planning to go Kyler Murray. Snipe the team with Jefferson. That was the plan, but I can't do that. We passed on Fannin for Dowdle, but Fannin circled back. Yes, this is obviously the reason. He's a Cleveland Brown, but like legitimately Harold Fannin can get like 18 targets in a game in theory. Yeah, he's awesome. I will gladly take that. This is a fun team. We also get some divisional correlation with the Baltimore Cleveland combo. This is a fun team. Yeah, I mean, I was jealous of your Bowers combo. This feels pretty dope, and like, I'm so glad that I took Lamar and Drake May there. Like, the room complied. Young Moolah, you contributed there by taking Caleb Dart and Bo Nix, and then some other teams are also taking quarterback heavy. Like, I'm pretty happy with how this is going. But man, is my boy gonna be there? Tell me yes. Yo, we get Wandale at 114. Holy shit. This is where it's at. Sunday night big board. This is fucking dope. This is feeling great. I mean, in theory, you could have drafted this team a month ago fairly easily, but like, if Dowdle was going at 103, you took Fannin at 90. That's still like, you'd have taken Fannin in round 7, Addison in round 8, Dowdle in round 9, and then Wandale probably also in round 10. Like, this isn't impossible to get in this contest, but at least these days, I have not seen anything like this. And our running back room, reliant on Taylor and Dowdle, but I think it works. Our receiver room is fucking loaded, in my opinion, with London, AJ Brown, Zay Flowers, Addison, and Wandale. Quarterback room, hopefully double stacked, but pretty dope. We got Lamar and Drake May, and then the insane value on Harold Fannin. I'm liking this team a lot. This team is dope. Let me know how you... We have 27 likes, currently 43 watchers. Hit the like button if you like this team as well. If you are a fan of this team, hit the like button. And if we get up to 35 likes... If we get up to 35 likes, that'd be 8 people hitting the like. We will do a third draft. I'll do one more big board if we get up to 35 likes, which I think we can hit. We're only halfway done. That's kind of a low bar. If anything, I should be asking for 40 likes, but 35 likes when we do a third draft.
Nice and blunt.
Let me change the poll. But I'm about to come on the clock, so what are we looking at here? I mean, could go Jordan Mason if he's available. Don't hate that. Receiver room is pretty strong. Tight end room is dope. Quarterback room is good. Not going to take Sam Darnold here. Not going to do that. Darnold does go. So, yeah, I think I'll just take the falling value on Jordan Mason. Haven't seen him, like, middle of the 11th in a while. But is it just the correct pick? I'm not convinced it is, in all honesty. I'm not convinced it is. But we already have an investment in Minnesota. Let's get another one. And from a contract standpoint, they were willing to let Aaron Jones walk and just not make it back, go to a different team. They were willing to maybe end up committing to Jordan Mason, but he still has to survive the draft for me to actually believe he's going to pay off at this price. But in general, he goes in the 10th. We'll take him at mid-11th. Nice little fall in value. All right. Fun team. I'm liking how this team is going. We're 11 rounds through. I was a little bit worried, honestly, when I saw all of y'all in this lobby with me. Shark drafters all throughout. And for the sake of how this has gone, I'm rather surprised, in all honesty, that we got some of these values. But Aaron Jones goes 133, Mason 127. They should probably be going close together. But from a age standpoint, from a health standpoint, I would assume Mason is much more likely to actually stay on the field. Cooper goes 136. Glad that our receiver room is strong. Goddard goes, could take Sadiq here. Wouldn't hate it, but weird lobby at tight end. Also strange lobby at quarterback. I'm going to get my third. I'm going to go with Cam Ward, and we're going to kind of force the issue. I kind of want to see what happens around this turn, because there's a few teams that only have one quarterback so far. There's a team with only Stafford, only Brock Purdy, and then even coolers with Prescott and Malik Willis, probably feeling the pressure a little bit to get his third. before it dries up. So stacked up Cam Ward with Wandale. We're going to be very strong at quarterback, one of the teams with an advantage in that category. And I like how the rest of my team has worked out. I'm trying to just lean into my strength. And in my opinion, get the guy with the highest ceiling in this range left on the board. Cam Ward is really the only quarterback that like genuinely inspires me and makes me feel confident that I could actually be drafting like the gem at QB with some of the highest value of them all. So we drafted a few more 2 quarterback teams recently. And while I do think that strategy is viable in this lobby that has faded quarterback, there's also the team with only Baker. I'm noticing that Fantasy Dog only has Baker. And then also the team with Allen only has 1 as well. So the remainder of quarterback values is like super, super thin. Let's put a little bit of extra pressure on that part of the room. But at least the team with Allen probably doesn't care. Team at 11 probably don't give a shit. Fantasy Dog says, I'm paying the rake on this one. Fantasy Dog has Love, Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Egbuka. Swift, Scattaboo, he did not get Dart to fall back. I'm sure that's what he was setting up. Has Godwin, Tyler Algier, and Baker. Does have a double stack with Baker at least. Triple stack with McMillan. And then also has Kelsey and Isaiah Likely. So super committed to the Giants. Did not happen. Bummer. Sorry to see that. Sadiq does go off the board to Riot 3085 at pick 148. Was hoping that Sadiq would circle back. Did not happen. Especially with Lamar. That would have been nice. But can still get Andrews here. That's why I didn't take Sadiq. Knew that there'd be... Oh, Andrews gets sniped. Damn. Right as I click it. That's a bummer. But running back always going to have a little bit of emphasis. And we took Chuba in the last one. I like taking Carolina Panthers, but it's a solid price on Denzel Boston here. Kind of want to do that. But no, I think I'm going to keep it a little more balanced. We got a little luxury pick with Cam Ward in the last round. Our weakness is clearly running back so far. It doesn't feel weak. It's just the lack of depth is concerning. Meanwhile, receiver, very strong, can tolerate a little pause. Tight end, we still got Fannin. Damn, the Fannin at 103 feels fucking awesome. Like, I almost took him at 79, and if it wasn't for the sake of my build, like, I would have probably taken him at 90, but, like, in no way did I expect to get him back at 103, so really happy about that. Kyle Pitts went 107, Laporta 108, Kraft went 86 in this one, and then Tyler Warren went 74. Yeah, even McBride and Bowers fell a little bit. Loveland also fell to the late 4th. Interesting lobby at tight end in this one. But, like, obviously once Laporta's off the board, it's, like, hard to convince yourself you're actually getting one of the true league winners. Tight end is a weird position to, like, fully gauge as of today. But JCM still on the board. At this rate, maybe I just take JCM. Pick 162, ADP 138. I think I'm willing to do that. Perhaps Hunter Henry is the correct click, but I'm willing to just trust that, like, Harold Fannin is really just that good. Let's take the price drop on JCM. 162 when he's already been falling. Like, JCM used to go like 118, 117, like late 10th round, early 11th. We get him mid 14th. Now, possibly he's one of the worst clicks on the board still. If they do draft Jeremiah Love, we are fucked. But they brought in Rashad White. They let go of Chris Rodriguez. They also brought in Jerome Ford. And then they also retained Jeremy McNichols. One of those guys might get cut. But at the moment, the committee doesn't feel the most inspiring to the point where you know definitively who the right guy is. So Rashad went 128. I almost took Rashad. But 3 rounds later, we get JCM. Good price at the very least. Henry goes 1 pick after. So that team, Enix, sniped me a couple times. Did he? Wait. Actually, no. There were very few. Sniped me on JSN, which can't blame him for that. But yeah, this Andrews click was definitely a snipe. That one for sure. But I would agree. This is a very interesting draft, man. Like, maybe it's just so late in the contest, there are so many drafters that are just like, I need different combinations. And it's fun for me to be in that same boat, but get something that, like, is kind of universally agreed as, like, correct. With Taylor and London, just two guys that I'm not usually clicking. It's very funny to me how this has worked out. Very, very unique in this lobby. But if you are a fan of this team, hit the like. We did hit 35, so we are doing a third. You know what's crazy is Shamrock typed irregardless, and then the fucking I don't know how the translate is on. I didn't turn on translate, but the translate put it as regardless. Irregardless, not a correct word. The translate's getting to me. This is funny. Even this emoji was translated to the same thing, but all right. Maybe I go TJ Hawkinson. We're making the bet on Minnesota in this team. We don't have Kyler, but still, we're making a bet on Minnesota. To get in on tight end soon is fairly valuable. Yeah, I'm willing to talk myself into TJ Hawkinson having some of the highest upside this late. There are not many names remaining that I feel good about. I was hopeful that given the lobby, maybe Hunter Henry would circle back, but no, he did not. And then AJ Barner goes right before me. So want to not forget about this position. And the argument I'm kind of making and like doubling down on is Addison's going to be a good click, good value because the offense is good with Kyler. And by that very nature, Kyler targeted Trey McBride like crazy. Maybe not in the red zone very often, but does like to throw to tight end. And Hawkinson, one more year removed from injury, hopefully can return on investment. Hawkinson in the past has been a top 3 tight end. So not going to completely rule him out. I want to mix him in close to 8%. Not forget about him too much. Would prefer it if I had Kyler. I'm sure the team with Kyler is pissed because they didn't stack him up with anyone. Probably planned for the back stack. Only had Chig, so probably pissed him off. Sorry, Dane. I just think it's the right pick. I genuinely think it's the right click. So it is what it is. But who's the new Jets QB? That would be Geno Smith. Not sure I agree with this, Two Mules. Can't say I agree. It is the Jets after all. But at least there's that. The O-line should be a little bit better. Just a little bit. But Darnell Mooney goes. We get a slight dip on Trey Harris. I have a lot of Trey Harris, though. I think I'm just going to go Christian Kirk. Bet on the Niners offense. Get back in at receiver. We've ignored it for quite some time. Last time we took receiver was Wandale at 114. Got a really nice price on Wandale. Damn, this team is fun. This team is very, very fun. A reminder on how it went. We got the 7 slot, and we go Jonathan Taylor, Drake London, AJ Brown, and we got Zay Flowers at 42. The lobby fucked up, and let me get Lamar Jackson at 55. An amazing gift. And then we took Drake May at 66 with the hope that he is indeed stacked up with AJ Brown. Then I pulled up Jordan Addison, giving myself the plan to go Kyler Murray. I needed another running back, and I prefer Rico over Jalen Warren. So could have gotten very unique with Warren there at pick 90, but go Dowdle because I think it's just the right move. And then I got Fannin at 103. The plan was to take Kyler, but did not give a shit. That was definitely the right click. Fannin at that price is awesome. And then we got Wandale 114, Jordan Mason 127. We stack up Wandale with Cam Ward. We get Jonathan Brooks, JCM at 162. And then we go TJ Hawkinson and pull up Christian Kirk just a little bit. But these days, this is just the new price on Christian Kirk. Give me a Niners receiver with confidence. Pearsall, not a lock to stay healthy. Neither is Mike Evans at this stage of his career. We are going with Christian Kirk at 186. Jordan James goes 191. So if I wanted to take another Niner, he is not available in the 17th round. But Tua off the board to Coolers. Can't blame him. He does have Bijan. Bijan's going to catch a shit ton of passes. Rodgers off the board at 194. So, yeah, the pressure of late round QB is starting to hit some teams. Typically, they go closer to around 19 than around 17. But Shamrock says Jerome Ford is pretty money as a default. He's okay. At least he's unique. Not many teams have Jerome Ford in this contest. Round 20, you can justify anything round 20. But Watson, Team 11, did go Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby, so names I really like not available at this range, but I think it's going to work out where I'm still getting Eli Stowers at a discount. I am very grateful he is still available. We have Fannin, TJ Hawkinson, so a little bit risky with our last two clicks, but like high upside if it does work out. And then Stowers, I'm hopeful. It's not a guarantee, and nothing is a guarantee when you're trying to predict landing spots. But I am hopeful that if the Bengals don't take Kenyon Sadiq, I think in round 2, they're going to be in the market for a tight end, and I think they could go Eli Stowers in round 2. If Stowers is a Bengal, he is super, super valuable, and I like that landing spot, especially for tight end. I think they're going to be drafting one. They might wait a little bit, because last year you were able to get Fannin in like the 4th round, and that was a fucking smash. There is no one like that, though, in this year's draft class, so to expect getting a 4th round gem would be pretty naive. But 2nd round draft capital, I think, is totally legit for Stowers, and there are some teams that do need pieces like that. He's super athletic, crushed the combine. We got a nice fall in value, pick 199, very legit, and there was a little run on tight end. So we got the best value. I could have gone Gunnar Helm, but to get the discount on Stowers, probably a better athlete than Gunnar Helm. Maybe not a better situation, but I'm very happy with Stowers there. Another nice falling value. And then Ferguson, Parkinson, Freiermuth go off the board. So tight end was definitely the right click in my opinion in that spot. But I have 5 running backs: Taylor, Rico Dowdle, Jordan Mason, Jonathan Brooks, and JCM. I will take my favorite rookie wide receiver. Give me Jeremy Bernard. I'll take that happily. And I think this might be a 3-7-7-3. We have London, AJ Brown, Zay Flowers, Addison Wandale, Christian Kirk, and Jeremy Bernard. I think I can get away with these 7. I don't think I need to force it with an 8th if nothing is speaking to me. I genuinely think Jeremy Bernard is much better than pick 210. Christian Kirk I also think is better than 186. And then my top 5 feel really, really good. We're also betting that AJ Brown is a Patriot on this team. And if he is, then we're really, really smashing. Flowers should crush. Addison should crush. Wandale going to go over 1,000 yards pretty easily, getting a shit ton of volume. I don't feel desperate to have an 8th wide receiver on this build. So this next round, I'm 100% taking running back. And if I don't have a name that really speaks to me at running back in the 20th, then maybe I'll just grab an 8th receiver, stay balanced. But I think I'm going to go 3-7-7-3 because we waited for a while on our RB2. I trust that Dowdle can pay off, but it's not a guarantee at all. Definitely a bit risky. I trust Taylor enough for the sake of this build, but Mason can be very mediocre and just disappointing. Brooks could also just be a nothing. The 0 potential with Brooks is definitely on the table still. And then there's also 0 potential with JCM. Let's not pretend like a 7th round pick is a lock to actually deliver. Good falling price But the depth scares me a little bit. I think I need that 7th running back to feel pretty good. So still 2 clicks left. Gonna try and get a little bit more unique with the names, try and get some lesser drafted players. But if you're telling me that Ray Davis is still on the board, I'll probably just take Ray Davis. I think he's very, very legit. Damon Claiborne, also a legit click. Justice Hill is interesting, but not convinced he's like a smash click. We drafted him yesterday on our Lamar Jackson team, so I could do it again. But honestly, I think DJ Giddens is an interesting option for this team because I am very committed to Taylor. If Taylor misses even like 2 or 3 games, this team might be toast. So I will be honest with you, I might just take DJ Giddens in the final round just to lock up my investment and have both Colts running backs. But given the situation, I could go Ollie Gordon, but I think I'm going to take Justice Hill. At the moment, Hill is under contract. He did go on the IR kind of late with like a broken neck or something, but I'm not convinced they're going to be drafting anyone. I don't think they need to. And Hill got a sizable contract. As long as he's healthy enough to be on the field, he does catch passes. If Henry ever misses time, they will commit to him enough. I'll go Justice Hill here for the sake of the stack. And given some of his risk and lack of upside, I will definitely take a 7th. And who knows, maybe I get sniped on DJ Giddens by someone watching. But in general, people don't draft him. So I don't feel crazy to just mention him as part of the plan. But yeah, can't deny that running back depth feels a little shaky on this team. Otherwise, everything feels really, really strong. Two Mules says, love Warren in real football, but can't understand how he goes 2 rounds before Kraft. Result, Kraft 20%, Warren 0%. Want to take him, but can't pull the trigger at this ADP. I think there's a very fair point there. I believe that the tier at tight end from Tyler Warren all the way through Sam Laporta is extremely flat, very comparable. And because of the price you have to pay with the quarterback uncertainty with Warren, it doesn't feel great by comparison to even Kyle Pitts or Sam Laporta, especially when Fannin falls to me at 103. But with the Michael Pittman trade, I think the biggest benefactor is indeed Tyler Warren, and I could see him get 10 targets per game. I could see him pay off as high as like tight end 2. So I get it, just calling your shot that he's the guy you need, but because he falls the least out of that group, I draft him very little as well. I would say my exposure to Tyler Warren in this tier at tight end is also pretty low. It was pretty low on Fannin as well, because he also was going in the 7th. I was like, I might as well just take Kraft or Laporta later. But in the 9th, whoever you can get in the 9th feels like a smash at tight end. If Laporta's still on the board or anyone that goes above him, I think if you get a tight end in round 9, it is going to work out phenomenally well. Unless you pull up like Gadsden maybe. Gadsden scares me a little bit, but I will just fully commit to the Colts backfield. Give me the Shane Steichen running back. DJ Giddens, very talented. If he does ever get the opportunity, I could see well over 20 touches per game for him, and it might just happen at the right time where he's the guy I need in the fantasy playoffs, or if my team ever misses Taylor, I'm just carried with the Colts RB1 every single week. I am pro handcuff, especially with the guy that you draft in round 1 or 2 that is so effing critical to the success of your team. If this team is going to die, if Taylor gets hurt, give me the handcuff, 100%. I'm happy to have DJ Giddens paired up with Jonathan Taylor. Because in general, most of the names I'll click in round 20 are going to be zeros anyway. And either Giddens is a 0 because Taylor is just that good, never gets hurt. And that's perfectly fine. Then I'm going to crush with Taylor. Or Giddens does really slide into my lineup perfectly well because of the missed time that Taylor would offer. Like, I think for the sake of this team in particular, DJ Giddens made a lot of sense there. With my lack of confidence in Brooks, JCM, and even Mason to a certain extent. Hill could easily be a 0 as well. So, yeah, I like this team a lot. Full reminder on how it went. We went with the 3-7-7-3, and we took some quarterbacks early in this one. Let's go round by round because it was pretty interesting. We go Taylor at the 107, Drake London at the 206. We get AJ Brown in the third, Zay Flowers in the fourth, stacked up with Lamar in the middle of the fifth. Awesome price there. And then I take Drake May in the sixth for the AJ Brown combo, Addison in the seventh, Rico in the eighth, Fannin in the ninth. Damn, to say that out loud is fucking awesome. I would have taken Wandale there, or Kyler had Fannin not been there. The plan was really to go Kyler, in all honesty. But Wandale fell back around, a full round discount on him too. Love that. Damn, that makes this team feel really, really good. And then had to get back in at running back. We go Jordan Mason at 127, Cam Ward for the Wandale combo, Jonathan Brooks and JCM at a nice price, but a month ago you could have just taken them in opposite rounds. Like maybe JCM in the 11th, Mason in the 13th, and Brooks in the 14th. Would have happened about a month ago, but I get it here. We go TJ Hawkinson, furthering our commitment to Minnesota, just betting that offense is legit. And like Shamrock is saying, if Kyler has the same chemistry he did with McBride, then Hawk does feel like a steal. I think as long as Hawkinson is like healthier and competent, he's getting a shit ton of targets. It's an offense that does like him, and maybe touchdowns aren't there at a high rate. But I think from a floor standpoint, he feels pretty safe. A pretty good click in terms of talent and upside. Worth a swing, in my opinion. But we do take Christian Kirk. Feels like that's a very safe click when wide receiver feels gross. And then Eli Stowers at a nice discount, 199. Jeremy Bernard, one of my most drafted players, if not my most drafted straight up. He is actually about to eclipse my Tank Bigsby investment. I have Jeremy Bernard over 30%. At this point in time. Him and Omar Cooper Jr. I take like crazy as rookies. And then last two rounds, get back in at running back with Justice Hill stacked up with Lamar. And then DJ Giddens as our handcuff to Jonathan Taylor. A nice insurance policy just to lock up every Colts running back touch this season. So yeah, I like the team. Unique, great values, really high upside, strong quarterback room, strong receiver room. I think the running back room can work. And then tight end feels amazing with Harold Fannin at 103. Like, really, this is what launches this team into the potential stratosphere. And this was a big board. This one feels awesome. I love this team. I really do. I would like to just assume that I'm just going to straight up advance, but we did have a lot of sharp drafters with us. I'm curious how it all went. Let's take a look at some other teams after I get back to the chat real quick. We have Shamrock saying Warren is a beast, though. Him and DJ have great chemistry, not to mention the Packers have so much receiving options, but I get your point. At least Daniel Jones should be healthy in December when you're in the fantasy playoffs and all the money is being made, but I don't like that you have to wait until at least week 10 for Daniel Jones to come back. I do not trust the Colts offense right now, not knowing who their quarterback is. But if you tell me they signed Kirk Cousins to a league minimum contract, then I'm going to be very in on Tyler Warren in round 7. I think all those tight ends are going to hit, but especially if Cousins is the guy in Indy, that'd be phenomenal. And I do believe Cousins will play next year. But Fantasy Dog says that was brutal. 2 mules in a cart. With the injury concerns with all top 3 San Francisco wide receivers, Jordan Watkins is a sneaky good pick in the 20th. He's 2 years younger than Pearsall. He's bigger, he's faster, and stronger. Let's just take a quick peek at Jordan Watkins. I'll entertain you, 2 mules. Let's take a look at Jordan Watkins real fast. 5'11", 196. Some of the shortest arms I've ever seen. Literally 5th percentile, 29-inch arms. That's fucking crazy. Like a T-Rex, basically. Played for Ole Miss, a 4th round pick last year. Ran a 4.37, but weight adjusted, only 83rd percentile, not 95th. So these days, it is worth noting, burst score is dog shit. Only 50th percentile in the burst score, despite the super fast 40. And then the catch radius is about average. Nothing special, nothing terrible. But show me the college stats. Let me scroll down and find some college stats here. He had a calf injury week 2 last year, missed 3 games. I guess I'll have to go to College Football Reference. Played all 4 years in college. Was it all at Ole Miss, or did he bop around? He also played at Louisville. He actually played it in 5 years in college. But with the COVID year, you can kind of not count that one. So let's just call it 4 years. But last season at Ole Miss, 12 games, 49 catches for 906 and 9 touchdowns. So interesting deep threat. That's a solid skill set. But yeah, you're going to need injuries for him to step on the field. I think I'd rather go Demarcus Robinson if I'm going to take a flyer on a deep Niners receiver than go Jordan Watkins. But maybe year 2 breakout is legit. But if I was going to pull someone up that's just undrafted, I'd go Demarcus Robinson. In all honesty, that would be my big swing that nobody takes in San Francisco. But Koala says Tucker Kraft is an absolute animal. Same with Christian Watson when he's healthy. Mega bullish on the Packers offense. JCM was super efficient last year. Could take a leap this year. For the sake of this team, I would love to see it, but I'm more Rashad White than JCM. But JCM has that house call potential that I don't think Rashad offers. I think there's a little bit more house call opportunity for JCM. But Young Moolah likes the team, thinks it's a strong one. We'll take a look at Young Moolah's team 100%. I'm super curious how he landed that plane. But I Am the Cobra says, sounds like you've already nominated Harold as your team captain. And for the sake of value, I was going to say it was Lamar Jackson originally, but Fannin at 103, that you cannot deny is insane value. That's the best price I've ever seen on Fannin, and I love that it's on my team. Two Mules says, this Packers fan thinks Jacobs is washed, though. LaFleur is too committed to him. I've been starting to fade Jacobs. I would agree. Jacobs does not feel like the safest click, in all honesty, in the early third. But Young Moolah thinks I have a strong case for second place. As long as I advance, I don't give a shit. Give me third, give me second, give me first. I don't care. As long as I advance, I'm happy. But you think the Packer taking Jadarian Price at pick 52? That'd be wild. That'd be interesting. Wouldn't hate that, to be quite honest with you. But Fantasy Dog thinks I got a great team. Should have been a wrestler with those arms. The 29 inchers. Those are short arms for a receiver. That is a very short wingspan. But had the most deep touchdowns in college, so it didn't hold him back. As a Niner fan, I wouldn't bet on him, though. Shanny loves putting young receivers in the doghouse. That's definitely the case. But there is some opportunity there, especially with injury potential. But Young Moolah says, I'm hearing the Niners are way down on Watkins, about to give up on him. And Young Moolah does hear a lot of that on the talk radio where he lives. He's in the Bay Area, so I'm willing to take his word for it. Koala would rather take Yoshivas in the 20th. That's just free upside. He's an interesting guy to mix in, for sure, but a bit injury dependent. Koala says JCM gives me Travis Achan vibes. I wouldn't go that far, but as he falls, I'm willing to scoop him up. Has a better rookie year than ETN as well. I mean, yeah, everyone has a better rookie year than ETN. That's not saying much. The bar is very low when you make that comparison. But all right, let's take a look at some teams in this one because I'm very curious how it went. We caught up with the chat essentially. So let's pull up Young Moolah. We are also going live on Young Moolah's channel. I will be there on Tuesday. We'll be dropping the link when available here in the post tab as well as on X. So make sure you head over to GAB for Life and give him a subscription. He was on my channel a few weeks ago. We're returning the favor, giving him an appearance over there. And hopefully we'll be back later in the season, later in the off season, in the summer, after the draft. Would love to have a Quill, Young Moolah, back on the team. But let's see how it went for him at the 105. He pulled up Ashton Genty early, and it worked out in terms of his combo with Bowers. So Caleb Jackson Dart Bo Nix in rounds 6, 7, and 8. So went QB heavy. I was grateful for it because I went QB heavy, and we kind of put a little pressure on the rest of the room together. So I appreciate that. Always a good combo with 3 running quarterbacks that are young. Really nice spike week potential. How else is the team? He has Genty, Derrick Henry, trusting the studs. Also has Charbonnet. Love his December value. Not sure he helps you advance, though. So this is a bit thin. A big bet on Genty and Henry. But then Keaton Mitchell, high upside if he gets the job. Not sure that'll happen that often though. Nick Singleton is injured at the moment, so a risky RB5. And then Jalen Wright, in my opinion, well behind Ollie Gordon, a very risky depth at running back on this squad. But elite at the top should pay off if they stay healthy. It can still work and definitely carry you, especially if you have Charbonnet in the playoffs. That could be the name you need. But at receiver, he has Waddle, Romadunze, Quentin Johnston, QJ as the third. That's tricky, but Coker as the fourth, Golden as the fifth. That's pretty solid. A little risky, though. Judy, Tesla, Pat Bryant, 197, and Rashad Bateman. So definitely like having 9 on this one. It feels pretty necessary because QJ has high spike week, but he either gets you 15 or 20 points or nothing. And there's a world where he also gets traded and is dog shit if he's not in LA. So QJ, I've been passing, but behind ADP, I guess it's fair, but why not just take Harold Fannin? Why not just take Fannin there? Jalen Coker, Matthew Golden. I make those clicks a lot though, so kind of saves it. And then Rome I like a lot. Waddle stacked up should be good. Rome also stacked. And then tied in with Bowers and Greg Dulcich. Does not have the Mendoza stack, but doesn't need it. Really strong at quarterback. Thin at running back depth, but loaded up top, so should be fine. And then receiver has enough depth where it should work. And if the QJ selection was correct, then I think this team will advance. I think it works. I think it's legit. But a big investment on Waddle and Rome because it is a bit thin the rest of the way. So yeah, I think a little bit of that early QB investment may have cost you just slightly. And then also shocked that you passed on Fannin twice at 92 and 101. I mean, I'm shocked that everyone in the top 6 picks passed on Fannin in the 90s. That was fucking crazy. So, a very interesting team. The Genty Bowers combo unstacked is notable. I honestly expected you to go with Mendoza. Genuinely, I thought that's what would have happened. And Mendoza went 13th round. So, yeah, instead of Bo Nix, maybe a different pick. But I respect the strategy. And especially with my QB early, I appreciate putting some pressure on the room with that Bo Nix and Jackson Dart selection. I appreciate that. We worked together a bit. But FK Coolers at the 101. How did his team work out? He has a 3-6-8-3 with Dak Prescott, Malik Willis, and Tua. So a little bit questionable in terms of QB depth. But Dak is stacked up with George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. So very legit to just bet on him a little bit. But Bijan, the RB1, can't go wrong there with Travion, Tyrone Tracy, Tyjae Spears, and then Katron Allen pretty late. Braylon Allen at 216. That's a big fall on Braylon. That's where he probably should go. And then George Pickens, T. Higgins, pulled him up to get unique at pick 25. Jordan Tyson, 72. DK Metcalf, not my favorite click, but a fair one where he got him. And then Ricky Pearsall at 97. Haven't seen him fall that far. This was an interesting price. That's very, very notable. Khalil Shakir, Kayshawn Boutte, and Kyle Williams. So 2 Patriots super late. And at the moment with no Stephon Diggs and no AJ Brown, they are kind of sneaky. Very good picks. Has Loveland, Ferguson, and Gesicki. Loveland unstacked, Gesicki unstacked. There's no Miami Dolphins, so just trusting the rushing value with Malik Willis. And then there's also no Atlanta Falcon other than Bijan. At least Bijan is stacked up with Tua, but it's really just trusting the Dak combo. Needs Pickens and Ferguson to hit the lineup, but anytime you're at the bookend, things can get tough. That's where when I'm at pick 1, I just take Lamar in the 5th. I just get ahead of it, and I take Lamar. So I respect the build. The Loveland price was dope. The T. Higgins pull was pretty solid. Burrow almost made it back, but the Jamar Chase drafter was not going to let it happen. But the Ricky Pearsall price was phenomenal. But I understand why you couldn't go Ricky and Brock Purdy. That would have been interesting, but didn't happen. All right, so FK Coolers with a solid team. Not loving his quarterback depth, but this was an interesting lobby. at that position for sure. But we also had Green being in here at the 103. Let's take a look at his team and just go in order. Jamar, Olave, Etienne, Jamo, Baishal Tootin, Joe Burrow. So got the stack. Alec Pierce, Tony Pollard, Kenny Gainwell. And then Tyler Shuck, Chris Rodriguez. Very legit clicks. Rashid Shaheed, Brenton Strange, Juwan Johnson. Pretty solid. Nothing I can complain about with Pacheco in the 15th. I'm more of a Bigsby and Brian Robinson guy, but a fine range to take Pacheco. Took Trey Harris. I almost took Trey Harris, but I have a lot of him already. And then Mason Taylor, Ty Simpson, Ray Davis, and Ted Hurst. Yeah, late round selections, not my favorite names, but up top pretty solid. And then got the Saints double with Olave, Etienne, and it a triple? Yeah, it is a triple with Juwan Johnson. So Tyler Shuck, super committed to on this one. I like that a lot. Burrow stacked up, that's nice. And then the random swing with Ty Simpson, probably a 0 in my expectation, but fairly legit. Fairly legit. But Young Moolah says, was targeting likely the only pick that didn't really go my way? One of the 9 receivers, so QJ was needed there. Yeah, I get that. QJ at 101 is legit, even though I did pass on him in the last lobby at like 110. If I didn't already have like 20% QJ still, I think it's down to 18 now. Maybe I can start getting back in Quentin Johnston soon. But I'm still very invested with QJ, and a lot of it was in the 8th round. So I don't take him very often. Just letting my exposure pay off earlier on. But my quarterback out's going to be lethal if I get to week 15. Yeah, your quarterback room is awesome. You're dealing at QB. But Cooler says, I think there is a chance Miami drafts Lemon or Tyson in the first. So I mix in Malik sometimes when I pick one of those receivers. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Tyson could very, very well be a Dolphin. I'm kind of convinced it's Lemon, but maybe Lemon's already off the board and they just do take Tyson. They're definitely taking receiver in round 1 at pick 11. I would be shocked if they don't do that. So very, very legit stance. Yeah, you do have a stack with Malik Willis potentially. With how much the room pulled up QB, I think I decided to just try to win at receiver and tight end. Not panic, pull up weak QBs. Very fair. Sometimes you have to just take what the board gives you. And teams like myself, teams like Young Moolah, and even Team 12 and Team 8 as well, with the Daniels Herbert drafter, the Lawrence Goff drafter. They pulled up Goff pretty early. Goff usually goes 100 to 110. They took Goff very early with Amon-Ra. And then they didn't take Laporta. That's wild to me. The team that pulled up Goff passed on Laporta. That's the wrong move in my opinion. But they can do what they want. It's their money. It's their decision. Dolphins are a great bet to go wide receiver pretty early in this draft. Agree with you, Coolers. Young Moolah is also in lockstep. But Brandon Bealey, appreciate you subscribing in the 2 spot. Do you like my team? Let's take a look at BMoney007. Love the username. That's a dope username. Has Jahmyr Gibbs, Trey McBride, Chase Brown. Very solid top 3 start. And then went back to receiver with some old vets in Evans and Adams. In terms of touchdown production, can't really go wrong, so that feels good. Takes RJ Harvey 71, Tyler Warren 74. That, I think, was the wrong move. Given how tight end worked in this lobby, like, I'm sure you felt a little bit sick to your stomach passing on Fannin twice at 95 and 98 with McBride and Warren. So I think you may have spent a little too much at tight end, just given how the lobby treated the value of the position. You also took Kincaid. I'm not gonna lie, B-Money. I don't love that at all. But Dobbins at 95, that's a fine click. I don't hate that at all. Purdy stacked up with Evans, that's legit. But Kincaid, I think, was the wrong move. There's not that many names I love in this range, but still, I think it was the wrong move. You did not need a third quarterback, not stacked up. I do not like that click. Not going to sugarcoat it. Downs as the QB3, Brissett as the QB2, Debo at a nice, decent price with Ridley. A lot needs to work out with Ridley on this team. And then Emmanuel Wilson, Jordan James pulled up a little bit. I respect those clicks. I think those are fine prices on them. No problem with that. But You went way too overboard at running back. 8 running backs with Gibbs and Chase Brown in the first 3 rounds. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, B-Money. I think you might have fucked it up. I don't think it went super well. Rodgers there, Trey Tucker, Benson, and Ollie Gordon. At least 2 of these late round running back clicks needed to be receiver. I do not trust receiver anywhere near enough to tell you I like this team. Too much invested at tight end. They're, other than Brissett, they're like Warren and Kincaid aren't stacked. So it's like I'm just not feeling it. I got a bad feeling about it. The receiver room makes me want to panic. So yeah, just being honest. But Kincaid was auto. Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, that's a rough one to take. That is unfortunate. Definitely not necessary. But yeah, imagine if you had Downs and like Golden there. I think I would like this team a lot more. Just like give me one more swing at receiver before it gets too late. Might have needed I think if you took Shakir over Brissett, that would have been dope. But I get being worried that Coolers was not going to let you have Brissett on the way around. Yeah, Shakir at 143 would have been super valuable, but I do think you needed Brissett on this team desperately. So this was an interesting lobby, very odd, and yeah, to be in the situation where Fannin is not making sense at 98, that's a tough spot. So good luck. I still think it can work out. Like running back is just so good up top, but like there's just not enough invested at receiver. I don't love your chances. That's my take, my honest take. But Fantasy Dog loves that New Orleans quad stack. Yeah, the team with Tyler Shuck, Green Bean with the mega New Orleans stack feels very, very solid. Also with the Cincy stack, Chase and Burrow. I like Green Bean's team a lot as well. Green Bean has a good squad. I like Young Moolah's team, but receiver is a little bit duff, just a tiny bit. But quarterback is so good. Tight end is really good. Running back is, as long as he drafted the right running backs, then Young Moolah's team should advance. But yeah, I'm gonna just reiterate. I think my team is awesome. But let's take a look at Fantasy Dog. I don't think I looked at Fantasy Dog, and then we will do one more big board. But Jeremiah Love, Malik Neighbors, trying to set up a giant stack perhaps with Garrett Wilson, Egbuka. Love the start. Got Swift and Scatterboo. Decided to push Dart, and he did not make it back. Did not get the Dart selection. Don't think it was totally necessary, but how this lobby turned out, I think if you had Dart there instead of Godwin, I think this team would feel a lot better because you only have Baker, Bryce Young, Geno Smith. That can't feel great. You do have Algier, so the running back room is pretty solid. Can't complain about that. Baker also triple stacked with Jalen McMillan. Not Kate Otten, at least you didn't go super overboard. But then have Kelsey at 130, Isaiah Likely 135, Bryce Young unstacked. That's not exciting. But quarterback was getting gross. Geno Smith is stacked, also with AD Mitchell, so a double stack, but it's the Jets, so whatevs. And then Sean Tucker, Hollywood Brown, Colby Parkinson, Cooper Kupp, and Isaiah Williams, your boy. You almost got Kate Otten to fall back. Instead, you go Colby Parkinson. Interesting team. The value up top, I think, can carry you as long as Baker is that guy. As long as Baker pays off, I think you got a shot. But if Baker is injured again, if the Bucs offense falls off a little bit with a new play caller, maybe this team is not going to pay off. But Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Egbuka feels awesome. And then as long as Jeremiah Love isn't a giant, then having Swift and Scatterboo and Algier, really good running back room. Like if Love is a Titan, you are really in business. And then tight end works. I think it's risky. I could easily see it not pay off, but I think if you threaded the needle with just like the right names and Baker is just really like that valuable, then I do think Fantasy Dog, you have a very, very good team. You have to avoid the Love landing spot in New York, But as long as that happens and Baker pays off, I like your team a lot. I think it's very solid, can totally get you there. And then with that receiver combination and the Bucks stack, you could advance when it matters most. I think you built a slightly flawed roster, but given how the quarterback values were, it is fragile enough to work, and it just needs to be the right combination. High reward, but a lot of these late round clicks, I'm not going to lie, like starting with Geno, pretty much everyone other than Colby Parkinson, I don't click in general. I do not like the final like 7 of 8 clicks. Geno, A.D. Mitchell, Sean Tucker, Hollywood Brown, Kupp, and Isaiah Williams. Not sure you're getting much out of them. That's my take. But up top, the first 10 rounds I think are really, really good. Really nice. What's up, Wilson? How you doing? We're gonna hop into one more lobby. I've made you wait long enough. We reviewed everyone's team, so let's hop in. If you were in that one and you wanted a review, should have said something. We are joining a big board in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. We get the location error, so we'll just hop in on the phone. It's all right. I hit the button. We're in. 7 more spots, and this will be the last draft of the live stream. We're doing 3 tonight. Let's go. But yes, indeed, it is time for a smoke break. Got to pack the bowl. 4 spots left in this big board. If you want it, just like last time, we had a bunch of you in here, and honestly, it did not impede me getting a phenomenal team. I love that team. We had a really, really bomb team. I got to make sure I don't forget to name that one. I've been trying to get better with naming all my drafts. I used to kind of ignore doing it for a long time, and especially when they're streamed, I should do it more often. But come on. It's like it froze on me or something. There we go. All right, so that was my 85th big board, and I really liked it. I thought that team was really, really good. That's weird. I thought I had it typing. I guess I was wrong. What are we gonna call that one? A Baltimore and New England stack plus Bannon. That's really like the most notable thing about that team. The Raven stack, the Patriots possible stack, and then the Fannin fall was fucking awesome. A reminder on how that team went in case you're just hopping in. Out of the 7 slot, a 3-7-7-3 with Lamar Jackson, Drake May, and Cam Ward all stacked up with at least one player. We got Jonathan Taylor as the anchor, Rico Dowdle as the RB2. I will further that bet on him. He is the most valuable Steelers running back in my opinion. And then Jordan Mason, Jonathan Brooks, JCM, Justice Hill. So 4 straight J running backs. I also have Taylor, so a lot of J running backs. And then even DJ Giddens qualifies as well. Dowdle does not qualify, but almost had a 7 straight running backs with a J. Maybe I should have taken Jalen Warren. Maybe that's a sign I did fuck up. Maybe I really should have taken Jalen Warren. Every single running back with a J in the name was probably the right move, but not intentional, just how it happened. Now I got to look out for that. That would have been fucking awesome, honestly. That would have been fun. But receiver, I love Drake London, AJ Brown, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Wan'Dale Robinson at 114. Fucking love that. Christian Kirk, Jeremy Bernard. I'm fine with the 7 receiver build on this one. I'm really fine with it. Tight end, though, fucking straight fire with the Harold Fannin fall. A full 24 picks. It feels like he fell further than that. It feels like he fell more than 2 rounds, but 2 full rounds on Harold Fannin. Fucking awesome. TJ Hawkinson at 175, right at ADP. Eli Stowers at 199. Nice little fall on him as well. 15 picks. A lot of players with a good fall, like Stowers, 15 picks falling. Fannin, 24 spots. We got Wan'Dale to fall 12 spots. We did pull up Addison, but not by much. We got Flowers to fall a couple spots. AJ Brown to fall a couple spots. Lamar Jackson to fall 4 spots. But yeah, really fun team. And that lobby is full. Officially, this lobby is full. We have pick 10. Isn't that where we were drafting in the first one tonight? Yeah, in the little board, we were at pick 10. So let's go. Coolers is back in this one. He gets lucky again with pick 2. Very lucky with 2 straight top 2 picks. Would love to take that. But Wilson in this one. Love to see in here, Wilson. Fancy Dog as well. We got Raitai in at 107. And then B-Money drafting again in this lobby. I hope you don't auto-click Kincaid this time. And then, not sure I recognize Matt Marvel or Julio. Maybe that's Julio. No, Julio. Julio. Yeah. Okay. And if you happen to be in this lobby with us, let me know. But I recognize most of y'all. We got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And including me, half of this lobby is in the audience. But let me know if you're also in here if I did not notice you. Let me know. But my bad. I forgot to pack the pipe while I was talking. You know, it's funny. A week ago, I did a 4-hour live stream. And then the next morning, I was watching Jiri's channel, and he was like, "Hey man, I saw you did a 4-hour live stream, and that makes sense. You like to talk." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a read." Some of these live streams go long without me doing like the extra draft. Like, let's see. At the moment, how long have we been streaming for? We're going on 2.5 hours streaming, and this is our 3rd draft. Like, you could easily do three drafts in 2.5 hours if you did not talk about random tangents like I do. Like, I've definitely seen other streamers have like an hour and a half live stream, and like they easily get into 2 lobbies. But I review everyone's team. I like to talk about other stuff. I don't mind it. And I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm trying to enjoy myself. And appreciate y'all joining me. Especially when I'm live streaming like for longer. I've noticed we have more audience engagement in the lobbies. Like, you don't get to hop in on the first one most of the time. Most people are not in watching the live stream in the first like 3 minutes in the first place. So it helps everyone that wants to draft with us get a chance. But my rank says Justin Jefferson. I'm going to take him. I will do that at the 110. Get Jefferson. We like the Kyler Murray selection, so an excuse to get him if he's available in round 9 at the 9-10 turn. But then I feel like all these running backs are pretty flat. So give me the receiver I want the most. The guy I think I'm coveting most of all. And then we're back on the clock. We could go Achane here, but I think we're going to pull up Derrick Henry. A little bit lesser used combination. Derrick Henry not as often on this side of the board. And then a lot of the time, Jefferson was just going in the 2nd round. So there's going to be fewer teams with Jefferson and Derrick Henry. I believe that Henry is one of the names I'm comfortable with pulling up. There's going to be plenty of Jefferson Achane teams already. Maybe I already have one. So let's get a little bit more unique. I'm sure I do not have a Jefferson Henry team up to this point. We got double purple uniform with the Ravens and the Vikings. What could go wrong? But Henry is very clearly a 2nd round pick in my opinion. The offensive line is not as good in Baltimore. There is a new play caller. Young guy, not quite sure how it's going to pan out, if it's going to work or not. But in general, just I will bet on the talent. Derrick Henry was the guy you needed in week 17 last year. And in general, in December, he shows up when it matters most. Some of his biggest performances are in the fantasy playoffs historically. But we're 2 rounds in. Maybe I wait until our 4th round selection, but nah, we waited long enough. Let's take a rip from the pipe, everyone. It is time for a smoke break. But Fancy Dog really wanted Jackson Dart, reeling big time. Still loves Young Moolah, but very upset getting sniped. That's the only problem. Like when it's so obvious that you need someone and you don't get him, it feels really deflating. It's a big bummer. It's why if you go Jamar Chase and like Chase Brown and the T. Higgins drafter snipes you, it feels kind of sad. But Koala Quantum says AD Mitchell, week 17, 3 touchdowns, 140 yards. You're calling your shot. As long as Garrett Wilson stays healthy, I don't think AD Mitchell's going to do really anything, in my opinion. But most people did not vote for the big board. Sorry, Pepper Tony. I have only one more left, so I'll save it for another time. I promise you we will do another one. I promise. That team name should be Jays Enrico. It probably should have been Jalen Warren. In hindsight, I wish I took Jalen Warren just for the meme. But maybe that's one call I have to take back. Wilson is in at the 4. Quantum likes the team. I feel pretty good about our chances. As long as we advance, that's going to be a very, very legit live roster. I'm going to take Egbuka, and we'll see what comes back around. We do have Leia hopping in for the vibes, saying hello. 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 But once a player like reaches the turn, once they're like officially at pick 39 and they're part of the last 3 teams that usually take them, if he's the guy you like the most, just take him around the top of the short turn just so you don't get sniped. Like just to prevent getting sniped, just take the guy you want most. And I think this does work in my favor. The only one I really was super interested in there at running back was Kyron, and we get him in the 4th. I'm super happy with Kyron in round 4. So running back feels good. We have the Ravens running back in Derrick Henry, the Rams running back in Kyron Williams, and then our receiver room has Justin Jefferson and Emeka Egbuka. We are chilling. We're in good shape. Fancy Dog did take CMC at 6, also took McBride at 19, and got Olave to fall to 30. I haven't seen Olave at 30 in a minute. Nice price on Olave. But I am Cobra says good luck to the chat. Good luck, everyone. Indeed. We're middle to the 4th round. And you know what? Fuck it. Let's take another rip from the pipe. Let's do it. I have noticed when I'm on the phone, it usually is slower than the computer. I have noticed that. Like sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm listening to somebody stream on the drive home, and then when I get home, I want to use my phone for other things, so I'll open it up on YouTube on the computer, and the computer might be like 3 or 4 seconds ahead of the phone. Sometimes it's like legitimately a big difference. But Pepper Tony, appreciate you hopping in early. You are fimped and first most of the time. So next time we do a little board, I'll probably just start it off that way. Make sure you're satisfied from the beginning. Going to be hard to have worse guard play than the Ravens had last year. I guess I wasn't paying attention enough to their guards to have that on the mind. Oh, Cooler's got Loveland in the 5th. That's a nice price. Very legit pick. Team 3 does go Lamar. So that team with Flowers at the 5 slot does not get a gift. Unfortunately for Team Delay at the 105. I'm sure they were hoping for Lamar. I'm sure they're pissed they didn't get him. Their guard play was a national storyline for how bad he was. You have to be so bad as a guard to get national buzz for being bad. Yeah, that's like Chargers level bad. Like everyone knows about Bradley Bozeman because of how fucking bad he is. But losing their center to the Raiders, I think is a big deal. But Koala hit the bong in honor. Everyone's saying hello to Leia. She already ran away. Leia's a big fan of the Bengals stack. Leia's also a big fan of our upcoming collab with Off the Schneid. Big Bengals fan over there. We will be joining Off the Schneid and Young Moolah and Jiri this week on the channel. And there's various collabs planned for this week with those content creators. Excited for that. But I think I'm just going to get ahead and grab Jaden Daniels. I think there's a lot of good values. I don't really care which receiver circles back to me. So among the quarterbacks here, the ones I want the most, let me take Jaden Daniels. I think a very, very good value. And this lobby did not fade quarterback too much. We have Allen at pick 24 to the team at the 101. They grabbed him at the 2-3 turn. And then the team with Lamar didn't let him slide too far. I don't blame Coolers for passing on Lamar. Going with Loveland there, don't blame that at all. Obviously, the team at 1, if they had taken Lamar, that would have been overkill. So this is a lobby that will, at least so far, pay the right price at QB. So give me Daniels. I am back on the clock again. Almost missed it. I think I'll just take Mekhi Lemon. I think either Mekhi Lemon is a Brown, a Chief, or a Dolphin. I think he's locked into like wide receiver 1 production on his respective offense. There's a world where he's better than Rashee Rice if he is a Chief. I don't think that's impossible. I think more likely than not, he is a Dolphin. And if that's the case, volume is going to be phenomenal for him. I think that's really just what he needs. I think he's really good enough to pay off in the 6th here, and I do believe we're getting a wide receiver 1. If he is in Cleveland, that's where I think Carnell Tate's going to land. That's okay, just from a volume standpoint, it's fine, but it's just not inspiring because it is the Browns at the end of the day. So, yeah, give me Mekhi Lemon here at pick 63. I don't want to reach too high on some of the remaining names at receiver. Parker Washington goes behind Alec Pierce. Those guys are interesting, but I'm not convinced they're actually going to pay off significantly better than some names I like later. Like, you can convince me that Jalen Coker is more valuable than Alec Pierce next year. Not likely to happen, but I don't see a massive gap in like true upside. I view a very like flat tier at the position, basically mid 6th through mid 10th. There's names I like a lot more than others, and I do understand the hype on Pierce, the hype on Parker Washington, very legit. They have more reasons to be taking them in the 6th than someone like Coker. But I also love names like Wandale. We got Wandale in the 10th last draft. He's a fucking steal. QJ, from a spike week standpoint, can do just as well as Alec Pierce. Romeo Dobbs at the moment is a wide receiver 1, so maybe less competition than Parker Washington has. Pittman could pay off in Pittsburgh. Probably not as valuable. I wouldn't pull up Pittman that high. I could argue pulling up Addison that high, even Godwin. And receiver is just so flat. There are few options that I think can be like true volume hogs, like Mekhi Lemon. The volume that would go to Lemon if he is a Dolphin, especially in garbage time, I think he would pay off in this range. I think he'd be fine. We also took him relative to the position. Wide receiver 32 is his ADP. Wide receiver 32, I think, is very realistic for Mekhi Lemon. If you told me he's a Dolphin, I think that's pretty fair. But let's go, Rip City. You know what time it is, Crossface. Maybe we do another one just in honor of Crossface. Michael Wilson is a baller. At the moment, Wilson did get taken to Wilson 32. Surprise, surprise. Wilson takes Wilson. But Marvin Harrison went pick 61. I still don't really know what to make of the Cardinals receiving core. Like, I'm still kind of grossed out about it. But Metcalf falling. A fairly legit price. Fannin goes 80. We got him at 103 in the last one, so don't hate to see that. That's fine. DK Metcalf does get sniped. So, nothing spectacular. I think, like I've done in every single round so far, I'm just taking the best player at the position I do not think will circle back. I will go Tucker Craft, and we have some divisional correlation with Minnesota and Green Bay. And Kraft, I think, is also just like really valuable. This is not a lobby that is fading at the tight end position, other than Loveland, who went pick 50. Tight end is being very much respected. So, don't think Kraft will circle back. Let's take him. And then whatever this room decides at pick 11 and 12 so far has worked out for me. We let them take Kyron, they passed. We let them take Makai Lemon, they passed. That team goes Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, passes on running back again. So maybe we go Jalen Warren this time, just for the hell of it. Myers goes, my receiver room, Jefferson Egbuka and Makai Lemon. Addison was taken. So I'm going to go Godwin. I'm going to get another Bucks receiver. One of these Bucks receivers, if not all of them, are just also mispriced and way too cheap. Also possibly just mispriced. Oh, don't worry about it, Fancy Dog. Did you snipe me? I don't think you did. I saw the top dual threat profile QB, and Dart or Trevor Lawrence were the only guys. Oh, okay. You're telling Fancy Dog that you didn't mean to snipe him. Gotcha. I'm about to draft on DK before my sleep gummies kick in. Very plus EV right now in those rooms. You don't like Ricky P. It's not that I don't like him. It's just that for the team I'm building, I would expect the Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey drafter. Like, I didn't even realize that Fancy Dog had both. But in general, I like already knew that the Mike Evans team was on that side. Yeah, he takes Brock Purdy. I didn't think I would be able to get Brock Purdy to come back. And I wanted to set up a stack a little bit more than take Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall's tempting, but I've seen him fall dramatically where he goes in the 9th. And like, I'm willing to gamble that like one of these days I will still get him in the late 9th. Like I've seen him fall. I'm more inclined to set up, let's just be honest, a Baker stack with Egbuka and Godwin, and just kind of lay my bed with that situation rather than like take Godwin, take Pearsall there, someone I have more of than Godwin, and like not get the stack at all. So for the sake of like exposures and then stacking purposes, in that scenario, I felt like Godwin made more sense for me. But it's not that I don't think Pearsall's a bad selection. I think very high upside as long as he stays healthy and figures it out on how to stay on the field. Totally viable to crush at ADP. One of the better picks in this range, but I already have a lot of him. He was, before they signed Evans, I had a lot of Evans in the 6th, but then I also had a lot of Pearsall at the 6-7 turn. So I've been paying a higher price, and I had a decent investment. I have less Godwin, and even though he was also going later, they're going in the same round. I think they're kind of equal to each other. High injury risk with both, but like legit top 10 upside if things go right for either option. But Kendrick Bourne 102, Fancy Dog must have queued him up way too early and got screwed. I don't know what that is about. That was weird. I think you needed running back there, Fancy Dog. Not Kendrick Bourne. Anyone but Kendrick Bourne there, I think, would have been a better move. But Coker goes 104, so B Money also likes Coker, did not let me get him. Damn, this price on Kyle Pitts is pretty solid. But I have 3 stacking options. Shit. We already have Kraft. I might get fucking screwed. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be such a big run on the quarterback position that all 3 of my guys go off the board here. So I'll just get ahead of running back. That team at 12 only has Hampton. And among the running backs on the board, the one I want to have the most right now is just J.K. Dobbins. I already have Kyron, not going to pair him up with Corum, although it was a little tempting. Already have the bet with Kyron, so let's not fade it. Don't need an insurance policy this high. Either take Kyron or take Corum. I think when I take both, I don't like it. But yeah, it worked out. I can get Jordan Love with Tucker Kraft or Baker Mayfield with Egbuka and Godwin. And I think I'm much more committed to Tampa. I will go Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Being at the 10th pick, I'm just treating both picks as one and taking the gamble that, like, I will be okay at a certain position with these next 4 picks. I chose quarterback in this instance. And even if I got sniped on Baker, we still had Jordan Love as an out to pair with Kraft. And then worst case scenario, I could have also gone Malik Willis with Mekhi Lemon. Worst case scenario. But didn't get Kyler. The Addison drafter took Kyler as expected. And I'm fine with that. We were more committed to Tampa in the first place. Koalas says, I worry that Godwin won't be the same, but he's also a unicorn like CMC. When he's on, he can be elite. Like Godwin 2 years ago, before the ankle injury, before the gruesome ankle snap, he was literally a top 3 wide receiver, literally top 5 numbers. So with Evans leaving, they're just all more valuable in my opinion. And unless Jalen McMillan like really overtakes him, then I just don't see a world where like any of them fail at ADP. Godwin also relied upon heavily in the red zone at times. Like when they're in goal to go situations, Godwin is the guy. When they're close to the end zone, and it's like a 4-yard touchdown, 8-yard touchdown, that's where Baker looks to Godwin a lot. When it's like a 30-yard touchdown or 40-plus yards, like when it's a deep shot for the end zone, Baker is looking to Egbuka and Jalen McMillan. But when they're in close and they're not going to hand it off, they're more often going to Godwin. And I think just in general, having both stacked up with Baker is going to work out. I think you can also stack up McMillan and feel pretty good. In general, I want to be betting on Baker in that offense. He's a gunslinger. He got a little banged up, but historically that offense has been really, really productive last several years since even Jameis Winston. Like it's really hard to look in the history books and find a bad year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers. Like even Ryan Fitzpatrick really carried them over in terms of advance rates and stuff. Like the Bucs passing game season after season is really, really good. And they get into a lot of shootouts as well. It's one of those like sneaky offenses that I genuinely believe could just win you Best Ball Mania. Fancy Dog says, I sort of messed up that one. My gallery is leaving as we speak. I assume that's in regards to the last draft. Your running back room is thin, Fancy Dog. You are only committed to McCaffrey, and I'm very curious how you land this plane. But you also went McBride, Olave, Evans, Adams, Parker Washington with Lawrence, Purdy with Evans. The Kendrick Bourne selection was egregious. We cannot justify that one, but yeah, definitely you messed up on that one. Goes Kenny Gainwell 126. Nice price on Gainwell in that one. That would have been awesome if I got him to come back with Baker. That would have been fucking dope. Got kind of bailed out, honestly, with the Gainwell price, Fantasy Dog. Gainwell in the 11th doesn't happen too often anymore. But my team is pretty balanced. Around the turn, teams 11 and 12 are much thinner at running back than they are at wide receiver. So I think I'm going to get ahead on that position before they have the opportunity. Malik Willis does go, so that stacking option is no longer available. I will take Rachaad White, I believe a phenomenal pass catching talent, and with Jaden Daniels, a very notable stack. Let's do that. Grab Rachaad White, pick 130, and team 11 goes Goddard. Team 12, I think, will double tap running back, if I had to guess. Based on the build, that's my expectation. So Definitely expected them to scoop up Rashad if available. And with the correlation, didn't want to let that happen. And at least we're 1 for 1. Who does he take here? I'm guessing he goes Chris Rodriguez. That's my guess. Nope, goes Jonah Coleman. And then this team, I think, was also taking running back with this pick. Yep, goes Tyron Tracy. So I'm super tempted to just go Chris Rodriguez, but my receiver room is a little bit thin, and I know it gets a little shaky. I think the correct decision is Jalen McMillan. The falling price on Kincaid is really interesting, but I'll get that extra stacking partner with Baker. Just fully justify taking him there. A bit more of a pocket passer, started to get injured at times lately, so might not be running around as much. And we get another stack with Jalen McMillan. So that was a tough call there. I'm not sure I made the right decision because I already have Igbuka, I already have Godwin, and other than just like making sure I have the best Bucks receiver every single week, I don't know if you have to go super overkill on the team stack in general. Like, I don't think it's completely necessary to get all 3 wide receivers, but just from my like stance on the Bucks alone, I legitimately think every receiver is a very good click. The only one that scares me right now is Bucky because it kind of feels like he could fall into the 5th even. Like you could tell me Bucky goes next to Baishal Tutin in the 5th behind like Travion Henderson, and I wouldn't be shocked at all come like mid-June, mid-July. I think Bucky might be falling dramatically when Best Ball Mania launches. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see. So at the moment, that one is probably least exciting, but very happy with Igbuka, Godwin, and McMillan. And then obviously Baker for the price, I think is a fantastic, fantastic value. Like compared to the position, Baker Mayfield is quarterback 19. And last year he was in the MVP conversation. Last year we were debating if he was better than Matthew Stafford through the first like 6 weeks. And he got banged up. All his receivers got banged up. His offensive line was always injured. There were really no good narratives for why Baker like should have had success, and like kind of everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong last year for Tampa. So I could see a major bounce back. I think Baker's one of the more valuable later mid-round quarterback options. That's like clearly a number 2. We mentioned Fancy Dog's team last draft that pushed QB and had Baker as the only guy. He's one of the names where I think if he is your first and like only quarterback for a while and you kind of get screwed on the depth, you might just be fine. Like, remember 2 years ago when he was like a 16th round pick and he fucking smashed? Like, he had 41 touchdowns 2 years ago. Baker, yes, Fancy Dog, is a flat out stud. Just needs to stay healthy. Obviously, you could argue you don't trust him as much without Mike Evans, but everyone's going to be healthy. Everyone was injured last year. I think he's going to be a lot better. I think he's a smash pick. Like, he might be better than Dak. He might be better than Caleb. He might be better than Jalen Hurts, even Joe Burrow. Baker's been healthier more consistently than Joe Burrow. He could be the guy you really need. But in all honesty, this could be a Daniel Jones team. I don't normally take Daniel Jones. We'll see what B Money does. Only has 1 QB. Think I'm getting sniped. He has Taylor. Goes Daniel Jones. Very fair. So not going to force it. I think the name I trust the most is between Diggs and Deebo Samuel. I will take Diggs at the falling price pick 154. Feels very valid. Our receiver room is interesting, but like there's always the chance that Mekhi Lemon sucks, that Jefferson doesn't bounce back, and then we're not going to get all 3 Bucks in our lineup every week. We're going to get the best one every week, but we're not going to get all 3. We might not even get 2 in our lineup every week. So we might be getting a bunch of zeros. from Godwin and McMillan and Igbuka. In all honesty, that's possible. So receiver feels a little bit thin. Want to stay balanced. Don't want to forget that position too much. Grabs Stephon Diggs there at the last click. I think Debo's fair, but we have Jaden Daniels, and it's been a minute since I've drafted Brandon Ayuk. I feel solid enough at running back where I'm willing to push. I'm going to take Ayuk. The problem is that he's still under contract with the Niners, and they're going to play hardball. They are going to drag their feet as long as possible. It's going to be a while before Ayuk is actually freed up to negotiate a new deal. And because of that, I think the only team that's really going to be in line to take him is going to be the team he wants to play for most. It's going to be Washington. So the only times I do take Ayuk is when it is stacked up with Jaden Daniels. Let's go with it. This receiver room is a little bit risky, but I'm willing to take that swing. Pepper Tony does vomit, though. That's fair. I don't do it often. And maybe I could have pushed it. Maybe he would have circled back. But I'm not convinced that would have happened. It seems like this lobby is very balanced at wide receiver. Technically, I have the most receivers of anyone at this point in time. I'm the only one with 7 receivers. So, based on how the board was going, could have gone Debo there for sure. But let's try and fall in to the Niners stack. We didn't get Chigokonkwo. That was genuinely the plan, to go Chigokonkwo with Jaden Daniels. But Team 12 takes him before I can get him, and that is unfortunate. So let's try and get the other free agency stack that just feels inevitable. Like, it really does. It's going to take a while. Ayuk is going to fall dramatically in the summer. Like in July, watch Ayuk go pick 207. Watch Ayuk be around 18 selection. But finally in August, he will sign with Washington most likely, and at least on a 1-year prove-it deal with a lot of motivation to get paid again. I think he'll play well enough. And maybe he's on a different team. Maybe it doesn't happen. But I think it's at least worth a shot. The only time I take him is with Jaden Daniels, and I haven't done it in such a long time. I'm very like underweight on Ayuk at this point. Like I'm just not doing it anywhere near as much as I used to. So worth a swing, but I'm probably drafting 9 receivers on this team. More likely, I'm still taking a couple more. We have 6 rounds left. I might just be done at quarterback. I have Daniels and Baker. I might just be done. But maybe round 20, I mix in someone. Receiver, we have good depth now, so it feels pretty legit, but obviously some risk with some of the mixing of Tampa Bay and then the potential 0 of Ayuk. But then we might also have, let's say the Dolphins don't draft a receiver in round 1. What if they shock us? Diggs feels like one of the most likely names to be in Miami, but we might have both Miami wide receivers, Mekhi Lemon and Stephon Diggs, on this team. It is possible. Wouldn't bet on it with a lot of conviction, but it is possible. Emmett Johnson at 177. I will take him. I will gladly take this fall on Emmett Johnson. Phenomenal value. Probably going way too late. Pick 178. Let's go. Bigsby already off the board, but Emmett Johnson there feels really, really solid. And especially with a lot of production I'm expecting from J.K. Dobbins early in the year, once he goes down, I'm going to need someone like a rookie that can really pan out towards the end of the year. I still believe in Emmett Johnson's talent, so we will go Emmett Johnson. But you know what's funny? Since the Ayuk click, it looks like y'all have like unliked the video. That's fucking crazy. The likes went down. That's rude. That is disrespectful. It's possible I should just be taking the value on tight end here with AJ Barner, but I think I'm getting sniped. No, it goes Mason Taylor. That's interesting. But the thing about my running back room, some of these picks don't have like a shit ton of upside. Let's go with like a handcuff with like truly elite upside. Let's go Brian Robinson and feel really strong about the totality of running back. We got Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, J.K. Dobbins, Rashad White, Emmett Johnson, and Brian Robinson Jr. The talent of Emmett Johnson, I think, can shine late in the season. And if Bijan ever misses time, the other Robinson should pay off. Love the Falcon situation for him. And then Rashad stacked up with Jaden Daniels feels great. Derrick Henry could just be the guy you need. We got the Daniels, hopefully Ayuk combo. And then Baker with Egbuka, Godwin, and McMillan. But Kraft is our anchor at tight end. I'm willing to push it one more time, but might really regret it. Perhaps Barner was just the click at a full round discount. He falls another 5 picks. That team has Darnold, so probably where he should be going. Koala likes Dobbins. I did a 6-man Charger stack. It's probably dead, but I got good ADP on 4 of the 6. When you get good prices, especially if they fall, it's totally fair. It's worth trying every now and then. There are some teams where I can justify it, others I really can't. The Chargers are definitely a team worth trying with that every now and then. But he's Bourne again, the Bourne supremacy. Jason Bourne. In here. Where the fuck did he go? At pick 102. Doing impossible things just because he's Jason Bourne. Secret agent, Jason Bourne. I can't draft, and chat do not know how to do it. It definitely costs you with the Kendrick Bourne pick, but at least he's wide receiver 3. At least he is top 3 on that depth chart. That is valid. Trying to make up for my quarterbacks this time after you roasted me yesterday for my QBs. Wilson so far has Caleb, Stafford, and Goff. Very early investments with JMO stacked up, Puka stacked up, and Rome stacked up. So very legit. Got an amazing value on Goff. Phenomenal value. I love that click. 117. That's dope. They're fun to have every now and then, for sure. But yeah, no, y'all are. What did I do? It is funny. It is funny. At this point, who cares? We're definitely logging off after this one, but feels a little mean. Do I go Trey Tucker? I think it's between wide receiver, tight end. Nah, I'll take Gunnar Helm. I need tight end pretty badly. Let's go Gunnar Helm. Should have good volume. They moved off of Okonkwo. It is possible that they signed someone like Njoku. They have a lot of cap space. I don't think it's impossible. Don't think so. But I definitely need a good floor play and then a good upside swing. I was hoping Terrence Ferguson came back, but I respect the click there from Team 11. Team 12 has 4 tight ends now. Has Kyle Pitts, Okonkwo, Stowers, and Tonjes. I wish they left me Okonkwo. I really do. But Trey Tucker does circle back. Jeremy Bernard was off the board. This might be a Torrey Horton team. Drafted him like crazy. Still think he's a solid selection. Tight end is weird. I'll go Torrey Horton. I'll mix him. I still feel really excited about him. I still don't want to be completely ignoring Torrey Horton. And maybe he would have circled back, but I know that the team with Darnold is going to have 2 clicks remaining, and maybe they were planning on that back stack. So let's get ahead of him. He sniped me on Jeremy Bernard, and I have been drafting a shit ton of Jeremy Bernard since I stopped drafting Torrey Horton. Horton, I had it like 27% before they re signed Shaheed. I thought for sure they were just going to give the reins to Horton. But if anything, Cooper Kupp is probably just going to take a step back this year. And Horton, I still believe, can really contribute at a high rate. So, yeah, that team with Darnold does go Cooper Kupp. So I was planning Seattle. Maybe they never wanted Horton, but odds are with 2 selections, I was not going to get him to circle back. So let's do that. My 8th receiver. From a spike week standpoint, I like him just as much to be like this year's Jalen McMillan. I genuinely think Horton could just be like consistently not a high volume guy, but a high touchdown guy in terms of like the ratio of how many targets he's getting versus touchdowns he's actually scoring. He can score from deep out 50 plus yards even. Like he, for the spike week nature of his game, I think is valuable. And it's possible that Shaheed misses time or just never really like steps up in the passing game. After moving off of Kenneth Walker, they're probably going to be throwing a bit more. And then if I'm going to be fading one of the 2 Seahawks that go this late, I would much rather draft Horton over Cooper Kupp. I'm a believer in Torrey Horton. Absolutely. So he has been falling. I've seen him go undrafted at times or just around 20, but fuck it. We will take Torrey Horton. And these last 2 picks, I probably am going tight end and quarterback. I 100% need one more tight end. Not convinced where I'm going to go at this point. Wanted Chigo Okonkwo. Once I took McMillan, I kind of didn't care if I got Kate Otten or not. I didn't feel like I needed the extra Buccaneers stacking combo, but would 100% have been in the cards had he been on the board with my last 2 picks. But Otten went pick 195 at 202. I took Gunnar Helm. That's a pretty good value on Helm. Like Okonkwo left, and a justified rise in value on Okonkwo, but not the appropriate steam with Helm being in a situation with a lot of vacated targets. But it is possible that they draft someone and we're screwed. They could also still spend some money in free agency and bring in like a Njoku or someone hypothetically. So he hasn't survived every pitfall yet. But at the moment, he's our tight end 1. He had flashes last year. And there's like 79 targets that went to Okonkwo that are up for grabs that can't just all go to Wan'Dale Robinson. Most of them will just stay at the tight end position and probably still return to Gunnar Helm. But I think I'm going to go Colby Parkinson for the sake of like what they offer, how they played last year. The chemistry with Matthew Stafford is legit, and he had 8 total touchdowns. I don't think he's going to be completely ignored just because they re-signed Tyler Higbee. If anything, they're not going to draft another tight end after re-signing Higbee. And maybe it is Ferguson that you need, but I think the fall in value, the fade on the Rams tight end room has gone a little bit too far. I also have a stud in Tucker Kraft, so I'm not really counting on these guys that much in the first place. But I think from the sake of like just contributing points and giving me like an 8-pointer every now and then, a good touchdown for a double-digit score, just to cover the bases when Kraft does not deliver, I think that's a good way to approach it. Kraft early, Gunnar Helm past ADP after 200, and then round 19, Colby Parkinson. Very legit. And then some of y'all are going to fucking hate this. I think I might get some dislikes for this, but I am going to get someone that nobody else has that covers my ass in case I miss on Jaden Daniels. A stacking option, but really an insurance policy. If Mariota didn't run it as much as he did, then I would never consider this ever. But nobody ever fucking has him. And if you tell me you are in the fantasy playoffs in December and you made it there with Daniels and he goes down week 16 off the waiver wire, you're not going to tell me you're not willing to take Marcus Mariota. So, like, drafting a quarterback this late, I'm probably getting a fucking 0. But, like, of all of the quarterbacks that are handcuffs that you are putting in your lineup if the starter goes down, Mariota is probably the only one. And so just in case I don't have Jaden Daniels, just give me the Commanders quarterback. He can drop a top 5 score when he's the guy. Like, he's going to be a 0 for a very long time, hopefully. I want Daniels in the lineup every week. But just maybe I'm the only team in the finals with Mariota, and what if that's the guy you need? What if just maybe round 20 Mariota does give me the unique combo that I need? I really doubt it, but I think this pick was like totally just luxury in the first place. I don't really want to take Penix. Shador is not stacked up, and I'm just locking in the running quarterback in Washington. I'll probably be ranking Mariota like top 12, top 13 if Daniels ever goes down. Like most weeks, he's top of the waiver wire type of option. So let's do that. It's not that necessary. Didn't need to do it, but let's mix him in just for the sake of the handcuff appeal. I would never do this if I didn't have Jaden Daniels, but I'm willing to have 1 or 2% Marcus Mariota. This is the first time I've taken Mariota. I will say that. The only time I've ever taken him. But I guess Peppertoni likes it with the brain emoji. But Young Mula says, wow, viewers acting salty. My man brought us a 3 draftathon. It ain't easy. And brought y'all plus EV. Smash that like, folks. Yeah, dropping from 41 likes down to 36 was a bit odd. Didn't appreciate that. Not going to lie. But maybe the next time we do a poll, a like goal, it's not going to be 35. Maybe it'll be higher than 35. So I respect it. It's fine. It's funny. But the 3872, wow, just wow. Is that what you ended up with? Fantasy Dog, I'm curious. Yeah, 3872 out of the 6 slot. Let's take a look at Fantasy Dog real quick. He's got Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Jacoby Myers. Solid at QB, very, very legit. And then Christian McCaffrey got bailed out with Kenneth Gainwell. Took Chris Rodriguez, which is also a legit click. James Conner, also very legit. You know I love Bigsby, so making it work. And then also Ollie Gordon, George Holani, and LaQuint Allen. So all the volume to like cover the bases. Gainwell is the number 2. And the chance that Rodriguez is like a top 30 running back this year. Honestly, I think this team works. I genuinely think this team works. There's a world where you get screwed, as always. Like, it might not work, but the falling price on Gainwell was so clutch. It may make up for the terrible Kendrick Bourne selection. But Olave, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, and Parker Washington, that can work. You also have Kendrick Bourne at 102. Not sure what the fuck happened, but obviously an auto that you didn't intend. Should have never queued him up. Christian Kirk and Cooper Kupp. Trey McBride, George Kittle. Fairly legit at tight end. Good Brock Purdy stacks. Oh, you took Kupp without Darnold. Interesting. I thought you did have Darnold. I thought that team with Kupp had Darnold. So, no. So, yeah, I like the Christian Kirk selection with Mike Evans and Purdy, but Bourne and Cooper Kupp might give you literally 0. You'll get a little bit out of Cooper Kupp, but not much. And then Kittle stacked up, McBride and Bourne stacked up. At least there's the stack, I guess. But honestly, I think it can still work. Honestly, I actually don't hate it. It's requiring a lot of faith with these receivers, but overall, there's a chance that it actually does work. But maybe instead of like Holani, just give me another receiver, because the Bourne click is obviously like just terrible. Like, let's not pretend that this wasn't really bad and probably sinks you. Like, if this team doesn't advance, it's because of the Kendrick Bourne selection. If Bourne was Michael Pittman, Jalen Coker, receiver, yeah, it needed to be Michael Pittman there. Let's not pretend. All right. But other than the Kendrick Bourne selection, the team's not bad. Legitimately not a bad team at all. Let's take a look at Coolers out of the 102. He had Mahomes and Stroud going thin at QB with Gibbs, Harvey, Mike Washington, Woody Marks, Tyjae Spears, Jordan James, and Katron Allen. So a little bit shaky at running back, but with the hero, Jahmyr Gibbs, gotta trust it. Definitely worth the gamble. Has 7, so has some depth. And if Mike Washington hits, we're in business. But a little bit worried about the reliance on RJ Harvey. Not going to lie. But some big swings with James. And then if Tajay avoids Jeremiah Love, he's an excellent selection that late. Woody fell to 167, and then Katron super late. Yeah, legit strategy at running back with Nico, AJ Brown, Terry. Love that top 3 combo. Tyson Worthy stacked up with Mahomes, and then Rashid Shaheed, Tank Dell, Tyquan Thornton. Like the big swings, super just boom bust options, but like from a spike week standpoint, the depth at receiver makes so much sense with the strength up top. A lot of volume for Nico, AJ, and Terry. Got the double stack with Stroud. Triple with Schultz. My bad. Almost missed the Schultz selection with Loveland, Gadsden, and Schultz. Very good tight end room. Very good wide receiver room. Running back room always risky in this situation, but with Gibbs, it can 100% make it the distance. As long as Mahomes is healthy, you're in business. But I just don't believe in Stroud enough to feel confident that 3 is all you need. But very legit. Maybe a Justin Fields could have been interesting. But I know a lot of people aren't on board with my strategy of handcuffing a quarterback. But I would only do it in a 20-round draft. I do not blame you at all for not doing it. I don't think it's necessary at all. But I find the quarterback room just a little bit shaky, but worth the gamble. Like Mahomes could still be a top 3 quarterback, and then Stroud, his numbers with Tank Dell are actually really good, but that's the problem. There's a lot of bad numbers without Tank Dell, and even with Tank Dell, like that year 2 production was bad. I don't love Stroud. It's a personal take. My personal stance is that I don't trust Stroud, but you have Nico. Might as well have a team that bets on it every now and then. Also with Woody. Also almost forgot the Woody selection. So yeah, a big team stack in Houston. Hope it works out, but I don't love their offense personally. Not one I'm trying to overcommit to, but I respect it. The running back room, very interesting, and then everything else feels pretty strong. So good luck, Coolers. Hope it works out for you. And then Wilson at the 104 wanted to redeem himself with quarterbacks, so took some early with Caleb Stafford and Goff. The price on Goff is phenomenal. Cash wants one more draft. I don't think so, man. We're at 11 o'clock, and we lost 5 likes in the last one. So I think we're going to log off after we review some teams. But this team has Saquon, Jacobs, Dowdle at 93. That's dope. Emmanuel Wilson, Kimani, and Najee Harris. So thin running back depth, but Wilson might be solid. And then Saquon, Jacobs, Dowdle feels very, very viable. So receivers should be strong in theory. Puka, Jamo, and Rome, all 3 top guys are stacked up with Michael Wilson, Jaden Higgins. You sniped Coolers on Higgins potentially. And then you took Naylor, Chimeri, DK. As DK has fallen, I've been scooping him up still. I still draft a decent amount of DK, but not as much on the live stream anymore. Brazil at 220 feels like a great click. Sadiq, 141. That's a nice fall. With Andrews and Gesicki, very legit. No stacks at tight end, though. But with Puka, Jamo, and Odunze stacked up, that's all you need. Very balanced team, very strong at quarterback. Maybe some of the names at wide receiver aren't my like personal preference, but good enough depth where it works out. In general, I'm not clicking Higgins very often, or Naylor at this new price, or Brazil. But that's just my own take. I also don't have a ton of Michael Wilson, but I like his ADP. I think he's fine where he goes. Tight end, though, is a little bit thin, but the reward with the Sadiq fall, if there's one position that goes late and it's worth it, it's definitely tight end. So nice team, man. Very legit. Don't take Saquon or Jacobs like crazy. But like I said, it's just personal player takes that are different. Structurally, this is a very sound, very competitive team. Makes a lot of sense. Very, very legit. Wilson 32. We did review Fancy Dog already. Let's take a look at B Money this time. He goes Joe Burrow, Daniel Jones, and Aaron Rodgers. As long as Rodgers doesn't retire, you're fine. But if he does, then you're screwed. But Daniel Jones at 152, even I almost considered him if he had fallen 2 more picks. Taylor, Jeremiah Love, Bucky at 41. Blake Corum and DJ Giddens. So followed my lead on the last one. A little bit extra committed to Taylor when you only have 5, but the handcuff appeal is valid if Taylor does ever miss time. You're going to be starting DJ Giddens as like a top 20, top 25 running back in your lineup if Taylor ever goes down. So hyper committed, the nice Colts lock to fill in one running back every week. And then Jeremiah, Bucky, and Blake Corum definitely going to fill in pretty nicely. So receiver should be loaded with only 5 running backs. You got Higgins, Christian Watson, Wanda Robinson. You know I love him at 89. Very legit in round 8. Coker, Jawan Jennings, Debo at 161, Darnell Mooney, Elijah Surratt, and Zachariah Branch. Branch is not a player I take too much, but 233, love it. Receiver room is very, very solid. And there's 9 of them. So, yeah, no holes at receiver. Tight end has Fannin at pick 80, right at ADP. Kelsey, 128. Solid pull. And then Hunter Henry, 176. That's a very good discount. Tight end room is straight fire. Very nice. Running back totally works. And then as long as Rodgers plays, this team is live. But if Burrow misses any time, you could be toast. Because Daniel Jones, I just don't believe will be on the field until after Halloween, maybe even Thanksgiving. And there's a chance he doesn't run it as much as you would like. But I think he'll be good. I think the Colts offense, to have Daniel Jones in the fantasy playoffs, I think is really valuable. So I like the team. Fragile at quarterback, but everything else is very strong. Should work out. But I've seen Harold Fannin go much later than 1 pick past ADP. I will say that. I've seen Fannin go much, much later than pick 80. So maybe you could have pushed him 1 more round. But we got Raitai requesting a roast. Almost passed you up. Apologies there. Raitai at pick 7. Apologies. Yeah, let's take a look. He has Bo Nix, Tyler Shuck, and Bryce Young. So not my favorite quarterback room, but very legit, very competitive. Totally fine. Is Bryce stacked up, though? Yes, he is with Tet. And at least there's that. Running back has Kenneth Walker, Javonte, David Montgomery. Pollard at 114, a very legit price. Dylan Sampson, I don't take very much just because I like some other names in that range, but those guys are off the board now typically. At 186, Sampson is fine, but it is a Browns investment, so it doesn't feel amazing. And then Amari DiMercado, 234. I know who Hames likes him, but I personally have not taken him more than once. I'm not convinced that DiMercado is legit, but similar to my DJ Giddens argument, we're just handcuffing our RB1, and I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's also okay. You're just locking in the Chiefs running back production every single week, and then the other 4 guys fill in the other spot. That's totally legit. CeeDee Lamb, Tet, and Alec Pierce. Sutton at 79, pretty solid price. Pittman at 103, that's a good price. A.D. Mitchell, Trey Tucker, and Troy Franklin. So the last 3 are risky, but high spike week guys. Very legit in this format. And then the top 5 feel good enough with some good discounts. I like the Sutton click at that value. And then Pittman also past pick 100 feels good. And then any team with CeeDee Lamb should feel solid. But personally, I'm not in love with Tet in the 3rd. Pierce is good, though. He is not stacked up. But then you have Kincaid at 138, an insane discount on Kincaid, with Juwan Johnson stacked up, and same with, oh no, Pat Freiermuth is not stacked up. No, he is not. But yeah, legit tight end room. Very good floor plays with Juwan and Freiermuth. They have spike week potential. So does Kincaid. His injury risk warrants him to go later. You got a nice falling value. Very good way to piece it together if you do fade tight end. Kincaid at 138. Yeah, that's pretty dope. The Josh Allen drafter did pass at 121 for Jake Ferguson, stacked up with Prescott, and then took Shakir, and Kincaid did not make it back but fell dramatically after Dallas Goedert. I kind of believe that the Kincaid price is a little bit artificial, and like While you could argue he could go where Kyle Pitts goes, I think where he went in this draft is also very fair. I don't think that was bad or egregious at all. But damn, Laporta went 112. Damn. Maybe taking Kraft was a mistake. Maybe I should have taken Addison and gone Kyler. Perhaps that was the move, but it's totally fine. I'm happy I have Kraft with an elite tight end. How I went about it, I think makes a lot of sense. I'm good with what happened. I'm good with my team. But is there anybody else that was in this lobby with us that I'm missing? I don't think so. So with that in mind, let's do one final review on my roster. We go 3-6-8-3, and the quarterback room a little bit different, but in general, around 20 clicks or zeros in the first place. But Jaden Daniels and Mariota with Baker, and we have a mega stack with Baker and 2 rushing quarterbacks that could hit our lineup and offer 25 plus points when they're in there. Mariota does have high spike week potential given his running back usage. He usually gives you a rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Dobbins, Rashad White, Emmett Johnson, Brian Robinson feels very balanced, very high-end up top, and good floor plays in the middle. Rashad is stacked up. That feels good. And then Emmett Johnson at 178, I just believe is a correct click. Talented enough to really, really pay off. When we took Emmett Johnson and Brandon Ayuk, that's when we lost some likes. So maybe y'all don't like it though. Jefferson, our wide receiver 1 with Igbuka stacked up. We're betting that Mekhi Lemon is a Miami Dolphin and pays off as a wide receiver 1 with volume. And then Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan with 3 stacking options with Baker. Every week we get a Bucks wideout in this lineup. I love that. The high upside. We might even get 2 a lot of the time. Diggs at a nice price, 154. Feels like it'll work out. And then I took the swing on Ayuk. Could be a 0, but willing to gamble with it. 159, past ADP. And the only times I ever take him is with Jaden Daniels. But Torrey Horton, still have a lot of belief in him. Still think he's very valuable. Just understandable why he gets neglected. I did take him above ADP, though. Tight end, I have the elite option in Kraft. We did not stack him up, but it's also not that big of a deal. Gunnar Helm with good floor production, breakout potential, and then Colby Parkinson, who I think is just being neglected a little too much. But Jordan Delaney is in the 5 spot. We can definitely take a look at your team. Says, nice team, would have loved Horton, though. I guess you are the Darnold drafter. Yeah, we must have sniped you, Delaney. You go JSN, Bowers, and Achane at the start. Let's take a look at Delay in the 105 spot. But Drake May, Sam Darnold, and Mendoza stacked up with JSN, Kayshon Boutte, and Brock Bowers, along with Travion Henderson, and who knows, maybe some rookies as well. So a decently stacked up team. How else does the rest of it go? We got Travis Achane, Travion Henderson, high spike week guy, with Drake May as a good pass catcher. Jalen Warren, 92. That's a good click. Pick 92, very legit. Just like our first lobby, we did see Jalen Warren fall significantly. So you took Romeo Doubs at 77 and then Jalen Warren. So in essence, you did not get a value at all. Like in essence, Doubs at 92 often is available, and Warren usually goes at 77. So in a way, it is negated, but like you get the stack, you get the guarantee, and then you get the big discount. I might have just taken Rico Dowdle. That's my take on it, but I get it taking the big fall on Jalen Warren. But with the reach, it's a bit negated when you really think about it. Jadarian Price at 101, like Jadarian a lot. And then waited till Pacheco at 173. Braylon Allen, 212. I mean, at 212, I get it, but it is a jet. And then Adam Randall, 236. I have a lot of Adam Randall shares. So very legit running back room, solid value on Warren. And then ETN and Henderson, totally legit. Receiver room has JSN, Zay Flowers, Romeo Doubs, and Josh Downs. Omar Cooper Jr. is the 5th, is excellent. Kayshon Boutte stacked up is excellent. Jeremy Bernard is excellent. And then the swing on Ted Hurst Valuable. He's either a 0 or excellent, so very, very legit in round 19. And then with Bowers, you can 100% tolerate just 2. He's stacked up. AJ Barner also stacked up. Almost missed that one. And yeah, I did notice in round 5 that you did get sniped on Lamar. So needed to make a quick change. Going with May, Darnold, and Mendoza. Nice pivot. I think it worked out. Obviously, would have loved to see you get Lamar Jackson, but it didn't work out. But Travion there at 53, a good value. I think that's a good click. And then you do get the stack, totally legit. I think the team works out, but the Dobbs Warren essentially is a wash. And then I do like the names a lot as it goes through the board. And then the nice fall on Barner to stack up. I don't think it's the end of the world that you did not get Torrey Horton. I sniped you on Horton. You also got sniped on Cup. You did not get that extra stack that you might have wanted. But Braylon Allen, Adam Randall, Pacheco should contribute a little bit, but your running back room is good enough up top. I think you'll be fine. I think running back is strong. Receiver is balanced. You have the elite tight end and then good QB stacks. I think you're in business, man. I think you're in business. I think you're in a good spot. But was real baked for that one. With that in mind, we will kill the bowl before we say goodbye. But Danimal, appreciate you, my man. Great stream. We did have a big hater in at the top. Kind of tried to kill the vibes, but after a minute, he just kept spamming it. Had to block him. He overstayed his welcome after like 5 minutes. But appreciate y'all for sticking around. Appreciate your right tie. We had some good teams in this one. I genuinely am not convinced my team will advance. I feel okay about it, but I feel like I've looked at some other very good teams. I feel better about our last team. The second draft in this one, I think was awesome. Like, let's pull that one up again just to compare, just to have them side by side, because maybe I want to brag one last time on that other team. But okay, so this team: Daniels, Baker, Mariota, whatevs on Mariota, Henry, Kyron, Dobbins, Rashad, Emmett Johnson, Brian Robinson. Great running back room. Receiver: Jefferson, Igbuka, Mekhi Lemon, Godwin, McMillan, Diggs, Ayuk, and Horton. A fine wide receiver room, just very reliant on the stack. Very much a Baker stack driven team. But Tucker Kraft, Gunnar Hellman, Colby Parkinson, very legit at tight end. Meanwhile, the second draft of this live was amazing. Lamar and Drake May with Cam Ward, great quarterback room. Running back with Taylor, Rico Dowdle, Jordan Mason, Brooks, JCM, Justice Hill, DJ Giddens. I really wish I took the falling price on Jalen Warren. I really wish every running back had a J in their name. I really wish it was that case. But wide receivers, not as much depth, but very legit with London, A.J. Brown, Zay Flowers, Addison, Wandale, Christian Kirk, and Jeremy Bernard. I think I'll be fine. And then tight end with Fannin at 103. Fucking awesome. Hawkinson, Eli Stowers. This team was dope as fuck. I love this team. I really, really do. But let me name this one the Baker and Jaden stack. There we go. We had a Baker and Jaden stack. We also had a Ravens and Patriots stack with Fannin, and then the other one had Tucker Kraft. So elite tight end on both. And I think both teams are pretty good. But if there's one I'm more confident in, it's definitely the Lamar Jackson team out of the 7 slot. The Baker team out of the 10 is fine. And then the little board, how did the little board go? We had Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Achan Kyron, Bishal Tootin, Chuba Hubbard, really strong at running back with Keaton Mitchell, Brian Robinson, awesome running back room, Amon-Ra Burden, Brian Thomas, Worthy, Omar Cooper, Trey Harris, Elijah Surratt, Antonio Williams, Skylar Bell. So some swings with rookies, but high spike week value with a lot of receiver picks, and then a great weekly option in Amon-Ra stacked up. And then Goddard, Brenton Strange, and Ferguson, very legit tight end room. This team was good. We were getting a lot of hate for it early on from Michael Scott, but we're okay. But appreciate you, Right Tie, for subscribing. And how long did we go? We went 3 hours, 27 minutes, I believe. Yeah, 3 hours and 24 minutes. So peace out, everyone. I really appreciate you joining us. and we will take one final rip from the pipe before we go. So, cheers. And if you got something, it's 11:25 Pacific time. I'm sure you're about to go to bed. Rip one for me, and I'll see you on the other side with a goodbye. Peace out. Later. Goodbye.